And let's find out a little bit more about the guy who starts up front, Eric Almirola, from Kim.
Well, Rick, Eric Almirola won this race 5 years ago, but in recent years, it has been a struggle at Talladega for the driver of the number 10. He has 6 straight finishes of 13th or worse, and after what's been a disappointing season for the number 10 team, they want to end 2023 on a high note. They told me they've been working really hard on their speed, and it showed yesterday with Almirola winning the pole. He'll have the best seat in the house to start the race. They said they're going to be extra aggressive today and hope they can shake the bad luck, Dave, that has plagued them this season.
Kim, in the last 8 Talladega races, Ryan Blaney has finished first or second half the time, and he needs that kind of a finish today, finding himself 11 points below the cut line after crashing out last week at Texas. It's also why when I talked to his crew chief, Jonathan Hassel, this morning about what they do differently today, absolutely nothing. He said, we've executed lately, we're going to do it again today. Marty?
Dave, the winner of the most recent Superspeedway race at Daytona was Chris Buescher. He used to dread these Superspeedway races. I asked him earlier this week, what's been the big difference? He said, honestly, my owner, Brad Keselowski, once Keselowski became a partial owner at RFK, every Wednesday before a Superspeedway race, Keselowski and Buescher would sit down, watch film together. He said he gave me all this insight of why he made moves, when he made moves. Brad Keselowski is one of the best at Superspeedway racing and obviously a very good teacher as well. Chris Buescher hoping to keep the momentum at Superspeedways going today here at Talladega, Rick.
Yeah, and Marty, a really good starting position. Want to check out the starting grid brought to you by Yellawood. You see that front row with Eric Almirola, Joey Logano up there. Then Briscoe, Larson, Keselowski, Riley Herbst, Austin Cindric, William Byron, and a few guys below the cut line. Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney back there in row 5.
Row 6, we see Kevin Harvick making his final Superspeedway start. Won here back in 2010. Next to him, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick back in row 7, another playoff driver, as well as Bell and Truex take up row 8.
Got to go back quite a bit here to find out Kyle Busch is starting there in row 13. Now, one thing he can look forward to is that he won here in April after leading only 3 laps, but he's got to have a good performance as he comes in 12th ranked of the playoff drivers.
And Carson Hocevar all the way at the back, didn't even really get a qualifying lap. They had a mechanical issue, so we'll keep an eye on the 42 to see if they got it mended and repaired for today's race.
All right, Steve, I know you've talked to us before about here at this racetrack saving fuel right away. Give us kind of the breakdown of the race analysis.
500 miles broken up into 3 stages, the first and second stage, both 60 laps each. The final stage a little longer at 68. 42-ish laps. If you're leading, you burn a lot more fuel if you get back in the pack in that draft, a little part throttle. 44, maybe even 45 laps and 55 miles an hour here on pit road. The drivers are checking their speed now.
As they roll down pit road, let's have a look at the keys to victory lane, brought to you by Ruoff Mortgage.
Easier said than done. Survive the wrecks. The first key is to be around at the finish. And that track position, I know a lot of guys talk about being conservative and hanging back. I believe the key is to run up front and be up front all day long. And then what drivers hate, you can't do it on your own. You have to get some help, whether it's a teammate or just somebody you have boxed in who has no choice but to push you. To win this race, it's going to take a push.
Well, you said survive the wrecks. That is definitely something that we see here at Talladega. And you said track position. Well, it doesn't matter if you're in the front, middle, or rear, you can get caught up in one of these crazy wrecks that have happened here at Talladega.
Well, it takes packs to go fast, and when you put everybody together, the smallest mistake can trigger this right here, and then you see what happens. I mean, cars literally upside down on their sides, and it's just helpless, right? And the drivers, think about this. Every driver in the field has seen all these wrecks, and they still have to strap in and literally drive 500 miles nose to tail, 2 and 3 wide.
So many times we forget about the danger of this sport because like earlier this year when we saw Ryan Preece tumble and flip at Daytona 10 times and then got out of the car and was racing the very next week, you think, well, it can't be that dangerous. But it is extremely dangerous. Like you said, traveling at 200 miles an hour in a 3,500-pound race car.
Yeah, these drivers put their cars in positions that you and I wouldn't dream to do in the interstate, and they're going to do it at 200 miles an hour. So there's so much pressure on the teams to perform, and now it's set here in the playoffs where you have no choice but to go. Let's listen into Ryan Blaney's team pre-race.
Hey, Ryan, good luck down there today, guys. We know what we got to do. They're going to get a lot of help.
Thanks, boss. Do the best we can here.
Just remember, we got to be there at the end.
he knows better than anybody. That's Captain Roger Penske giving a few words of wisdom before we start the second race of the second round of the playoffs. Ryan Blaney, saw him get out of position there a little bit as they come through the trial. And again, a little uniqueness about this racetrack is the start-finish line. It is past the center of the trial. So they're going through the trial now as we get ready for them to go up through the gears and start the race here at Talladega. Green flag is out.
Green.
It's like a train coming up to speed as the engine churning out the horsepower to get these cars up to speed. Down the backstretch they go, 2 by 2.
It takes nearly a full lap to get to full speed. These engines are restricted down to 450 horsepower, so it takes a little bit of time to get some momentum. Very, very organized to start.
So many times we see manufacturers working together, Fords with Ford, Chevys with Chevys. Well, right now at the start of this race, you've got to dance whoever you have come with.
That's really where a crew chief can help. You know, the drivers can only really do so much. As a crew chief, you have to kind of put your driver in a position to find his teammates or find his manufacturers. Do that by how you pit, when you pit, how many tires you take. And already you see that pushing and shoving that Jeff and Dale talked about, and the bumpers and how they line up as we're on board with Denny Hamlin and the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar cameras. He gives Ryan Blaney a little shove.
Blaney takes that momentum, transfers it to the car just in front of him.
One in front of Ryan.
So you hear that information. That's Denny Spotter actually telling him what's in front of Ryan Blaney. So as you're pushing a car, not only do you want the information from behind, but you can't see, like pull up behind a car on the interstate, you can't see up in front. Well, these guys are doing that. They need to know how much room is in front of that 12 car so Hamlin doesn't push him right up into that bright colored 24 of William Byron.
Folks at home, Steve didn't just ask you to pull up this close.
I meant like if you were sitting in traffic, like stopped in traffic, Rick.
Okay. Side by side, they stay for the lead. Again on the inside, it's Eric Almirola winning the pole yesterday. Joey Logano on the outside with a little help there from Kyle Larson.
What you see right there in the 5 car, the second car on the outside, that blue car, those flaps that keep popping open on the hood, that's literally because of the air pressure change. So you see right there on the right side, the flap pops up. Those flaps are there so when cars spin, it vents the air out, trying to keep them on the ground. And the air pressure can be such a way in the draft where it literally has 0 air pressure holding the flap down. He's so tight in the draft so the flap just opens right up. You would think that'd be distracting. It would distract me if I was driving.
I already see a third group starting to develop toward the back of the field. Daniel Suarez has got a few cars up on that high side now. A few more have jumped in front of him. I see Bowman. Looks like the 17 of Chris Buescher. They're making some good time up there. Expect to see a few more cars start to maybe jump in the front of this line. They want to go up here and get some track position.
Good line directly behind us, 48 clear on the front.
Riding along with Chris Buescher and the BuildSubmarines.com on board.
Close here, 48 still clear on the front.
That's one of those forward noses we talked about in the pre-race. They push really aggressively. As opposed to the Chevrolets and the Toyotas, they can shove, they can push as well, but just got to be careful in the transitions to the corner.
Denny Hamlin in that green car this week. He jumped up into that outside lane trying to be the first car leading it. Saw it coming, saw the run coming, moved up in front of Alex Bowman. And now the guys in that second lane, they're looking to see if it's going to gain momentum. If it is, they want to be the first one leading. There you go. There's Riley Herbst making a move up there to get in front of Denny.
As soon as he does that, he has to hope he made the right move because the 24 Byron fills the gap that he leaves on that middle lane. So that's a commitment you make. You don't get to undo that choice once you pull out of line. See if Herbst can take that. Look at the car moving around a little bit, Jeff. Not really expect to see a lot of handling issues. Well, the car is difficult to drive, but he's dancing around a little bit.
And if I'm Denny Hamlin, I don't race with Riley Herbst that often. I don't know how much I can push him. I don't have a complete comfort level. Nothing against Riley, but you just don't spend time with him. And so Riley is going to have to fight that all day. He's going to have to prove to everybody that I belong here. You can push me. It's going to be okay if you do. Denny's the first guy that's really giving him a shot.
Well, Jeff, nobody in this field has raced that much with Riley Herbst. This is only his 4th Cup Series start ever, and so the 24-year-old out of Las Vegas is spending some time up front here as a big push on that bottom line. Gets Eric Almirola pushed out to 2, maybe 3 car length of the lead.
They're going to come up on the back of that car really quickly. So I think the best thing to do in this particular point is to stay on that inside line. If the 10 car of Almirola gets shoved way out there, if you move up the racetrack, you put yourself in a bad situation. A lot of shoving going around, cars getting uncomfortable there. If you get shoved way out far, you can force that bottom groove to push you because they can't go under you. It's out of bounds, right? Use that out of bounds line actually to your advantage sometimes.
Certain lanes taking some ground up. Little bit by little bit, they keep gaining. Hamlin a little bit of pop right there in the rear bumper. Trying to give him some momentum getting into the corner.
Still wide open in front up here.
If you're Riley Herbst, how much anxiety do you have right now being pushed by Denny Hamlin, a 51-time winner at the Cup Series, and he's trying to push you to the lead at Talladega?
No anxiety at all. You're actually feeling like you're in pretty good hands. But if you move up too high right there, Denny could have went to the middle. Almost thought about it. It looked like if you're Herbst, you got to be careful where you're running and be a little more defensive. Force Denny to push you. Don't give Denny options, right, to leave you out of the draft. And Denny cannot help you through the tri-oval if you're offset to the right really far. So not much Denny could do there, but here they come down the back straightaway. A good shove from this 11 car.
We're starting to see blocking already. The 22 and the 5 have dropped down to that low line. And it's Joey Logano who's leading here at Talladega.
Is Coke Zero Sugar the best Coke ever? Take a taste and see for yourself. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
It's Talladega, and now teammates have found each other, but it's Joey Logano who continues to block to hold on to the lead. Logano will have the 12 of Ryan Blaney to his inside if he wants it, but it looks like he's going to let Ryan Blaney move to that inside line and try to take the lead away, Marty.
Rick, I thought Junior made a terrific point in the pre-race today, talking about non-playoff drivers racing with the playoff drivers. Talking to Joey Logano and his crew chief, Paul Wolfe. Of course, they want to win the race, Junior, but their objective today, help the car to their inside. Their teammate, Ryan Blaney. So how aggressive are you, Junior, trying to help your teammate, who is still in the playoffs, to be able to get a win in advance today?
Yeah, I think that, Roger Penske's done laid down the team orders for this 22 car. Look, you can go out there and try to win the race, do everything you need to do, but when you have the chance, do what you can for the 12. And even right here, running side by side, we saw just a lap before, the 12 gets the run to the inside. He doesn't block it. He would have blocked any other car, but he doesn't dive down and block his teammate. He allows the 12 to go through. So those are the type of things that he might do differently in this scenario as opposed to in another one where his teammate's not involved.
And speaking of doing things differently, look back here in the pack. There's the green 11 car. Remember, he was trying to push Riley Herbst in that outside lane. It gave up. It did not work. The Gibbs actually jumped in front of Hamlin and tried to make it help work, and it didn't. The outside lane lost all its momentum, and now Denny is mired back in 29th. Battling for the lead a few laps ago, it just ran out of gas, and now here he is in the back.
Found a spot behind the 48. Looks like a few cars are going to try to work to the outside of Hamlin now and start that third lineup once again, Dave.
Kyle Busch is going forward now, Rick, and I think I know why.
There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do right now. We're just saving fuel till pit.
Okay, 10-4. I just don't want to be the last one in line is all. We just need to be aware of that.
That was when Kyle was running 35th. He then moved up to about 20th. Now he faded back just a little bit. Still running in that top 20, but they don't want to get stuck way back there. They want to be up with the middle cars when it comes time to pit in a few laps.
And as Dave says, in a few laps. Steve, what's strategy here? Do you want to still pit with the same manufacturers so you keep a group together?
Well, I think, there's a lot of ways to break this up. If you can run about 44, 45 laps to the end, or in fuel, that means that your fuel window is only a couple laps from opening to the end of stage one. But we used to see guys come right away and early, but the Fords have been running longer and longer and longer, and that cycle seems to be better. So the short answer is, they all claim they have a plan, but I've seen a lot of plans get thrown out the window. You don't want to come alone, but I also don't think you want to come with 20 of your friends. It gets very chaotic. I think 6 to 8 cars is a pretty efficient sized group to get on and off pit road.
Riding on the roof cam for Bubba Wallace, the Toyota camera right here. We got 3 Toyotas in line.
Bubba one out the front of him. Tyler
with his teammate in front of him, Tyler Reddick. And then the 11 of Denny Hamlin is right behind Bubba Wallace. They are leading this third group again, but now look at these cars jumping in front of them. As the third lane starts moving forward, more people are like, hey, I like it. Let's go to the front. Eric Jones gets up there. Ryan Preece gets up there as well. Let's see what they can do. You get that line moving, you're like, hey, you're the one with the idea, and then everyone else jumps in front of you, not behind you. You'd love them to get behind you and follow you to the front, but they're going to jump in front of you, taking advantage of that idea. A lot of communication. We talked about it at the pre-race. Spotter to driver, let's listen to this 22 bunch.
All right, third lane is to you right now. Got a bumper cover. Right here, you're clear. 3247 on the mid lane, 3247. Third lane is tighter right now. All you got. Right here, you're clear to the third lane. You're clear to the third lane. Only you. Only you. Middle and third lane have equal cars. Middle's a nose ahead. Austin pushes the 3 through. Top's going to have energy at the end, but just with 2 of them. Outside bumper of you, still inside 24. Still inside 24. You're clear low. You're clear. Only you. Only you. Only you. Bottom's tighter behind. Bottom's tighter behind and coming. Bottom's nose ahead, tighter. Bottom's nose ahead, tighter. After the bottom. 24 is not clear to the middle lane. 24 is not. Mid lane's 3 and 2. Bottom lane 24, 12. Outside. Bottom lane's clear, the 3 is not. Inside 24 now, barely. Inside 24. You're mid 3 right here, mid 3. mid 3.
So that's Coleman Presley, spotter for Joey Logano, giving him all of that information. And Junior, you and Steve talked about this pre-race. Some drivers like getting all that information, others maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mean, that camera we used was actually the view from the spotter stand. So you kind of, as you listen to the spotter, think about being up there, and that's the view you have. Going down the back straightaway, a lot of campers and all types of things sort of blocking some of the view. But it's pretty important, the job they do. And to your point, like a lot of drivers, such as Coleman there, he's talking a lot. The drivers want that. They want as much and more information. And I'll cipher through what I need to pay attention to. I'm afraid you're not going to tell me something I need to hear, so say everything you can and then some.
Every driver wants their own information. Let's go right along with the 19 car, Martin Truex Jr., his spotter, Drew Herring.
You here? Still quarter off. Still quarter. Tight. Still shoving.
So you can hear the difference in tempo from Coleman Presley to Drew Herring. Just different inflection, different sense of urgency, but that's what the driver wants. The driver and the crew chief spend a ton of time preparing for these races. The driver knows what he's going to get from the spotter, and the spotter knows what the driver needs, and it's different between every car.
William Byron, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., that front row making their presence known. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Yellawood 500 from Talladega. Fans, download the official app of NASCAR. You can follow the action with free live scoring. There's in-car cameras, radio broadcast. You can also upgrade to premium for access to driver audio channels, which we were listening to just a few moments ago. Search NASCAR in your app store and start a free trial. And the race to 1 million is heating up in the NASCAR Powerball playoff. 12 fans are locked in for a chance to win $1 million at NASCAR Championship Weekend. Follow the playoffs, See who advances and who will get cut. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR.
Y'all, Ricky Bobby's leading. I mean, look, this guy flipping down the back straightaway at Daytona. We played that replay over and over and over. And now Ryan Preece, we asked him, hey, how do you put that behind you? And this is how you do it. You drive to the front of this field, put that car out front. Pretty impressive job.
I thought you meant you dress up like Ricky Bobby.
Well, anytime you say Ricky Bobby, I think back to your Bristol race where you said, I'm on fire.
I feel like this thing's playing out in front of me in real time, man. Just awesome to see this 41. Good-looking race car.
So we talked about that green 11 car of Denny Hamlin. He was up toward the front, tried the third lane, didn't make it work, has clawed, got himself back into that top lane, and now he's worked himself back toward the top 15. He is being aggressive today. He is trying to make things happen. He's not just, you heard Kyle Busch talk about just riding around, waiting, right? Denny Hamlin's not. Denny Hamlin's out there pushing the issue, learning what his car will do, learning what it won't do, Kim.
That's right. When I talked to crew chief Chris Cabart this morning, he said because their point situation, they came into this race plus 37 to the elimination line. That gave Denny more room to take these risks. He said the point situation makes the goals we have today more attainable. He can be more aggressive than some drivers without as much risk.
What I see right now in the first part of this race is Denny Hamlin staying with 23-11. The 45 and the 23. Every time we look at them, Denny Hamlin is not hard to find. He's had opportunities to do things on his own, make moves on his own, but he seems very dedicated, at least in this first stage, to be able to help Bubba Wallace and Reddick find that track position to get those stage points.
Jeff, I want to ask you, we are getting close to seeing green flag pit stops. How much time do you need to get into position? If, say, you are Denny Hamlin and they say, okay, 2 laps, we're coming in, how much time do you need to get down to that inside lane?
It all depends on the commitment level of your team of pitting with specific cars. So if you're in that top lane, you got all of those 4 Toyotas that they want to pit together, I need a lot of laps. I got to get to the bottom of the racetrack to pit. However, if I'm going to stay out forever, you know that I'm going to run a lot of laps, and I just want to run wherever I can. It doesn't matter. So if you got to get to the bottom, I need at least 3 laps. And you have to understand, if I'm in the middle of the pack, Steve, I might have to go all the way to the back to get to the bottom if you want me on pit road the first time of all the groups.
Well, and I think that's really the tough part about committing to coming with a group, right? I mean, if you're where Buescher is on the bottom, then it's going to be very easy for you to pit. But if you're where Denny Hamlin is, I think, I have to realize that. I can't put you in a position, Jeff, where you're going to try to do something that's just not really feasible to do without giving up track position. Marty, what are you hearing on pit road?
Well, Steve, did you really say earlier this is going to be about the least time on pit road, a track position race at Talladega? A lot of crew chiefs and spotters talking about that as well. So Ryan Preece, who is out front right now, burning far more fuel than Joey Logano is, who's right behind him. Preece has to be pretty much full throttle the entire way around. He can save a little bit, but Steve, how much do you save being further back in the pack versus leading here at Talladega?
Well, it used to be a couple or 3 laps, guys, but now you look on the bottom left of Preece. These guys are getting so good at saving gas that Preece is only about 70% throttle leading. So I think that gap from traffic to the lead has definitely closed up with the more they learn.
And you got to ask, how is he able to run 3/4 throttle and not be passed, right? Of course, they're wanting to sit behind him and try to save fuel themselves, but there's a balloon, a beach ball, if you will, between those cars. That second place car is pushing that leader along at times around this racetrack. So you go to full throttle when you think you need to, and then when you feel that effect of that car behind you pushing you forward, you can then come off the throttle. You don't want to let that gap between you get too big.
Well, I think that's why you see what we see. So Preece has only led for 6 laps. Logano had led for 19, right? So back to Marty's point, if the leader's burning more gas for teammates, Logano says, hey, I'm going to ride in second. Preece, you go pull the train a little bit.
Look at the telemetry on Stenhouse. He's wide open. He's got somebody behind him giving him a good push. He's not concerned about fuel at the moment. He's wide open trying to get his track position. See the difference? Preece leading the race, 3/4 throttle. Stenhouse on the outside, he's wide open. How in the world can you run wide open and not catch that guy on the bottom? It's all about drafting and who is pushing you. Stenhouse has Eric Jones behind him, but Eric Jones is not physically pushing him. He's about a half a car length behind. That's not going to give you the momentum you really want.
And when we say leading, you don't have to be leading the race, just leading your line, right, Junior? Like if you're the first guy in whatever lane you're in, you're leading that lane. You're kind of breaking the air for that group.
And you can see some drivers like Stenhouse could care less about fuel mileage. He's going to just run wide open to a point. They're not really that worried about it. See a little bit of pushing and shoving up there on that inside line. The 22 into the back of the 41 down the back straightaway, moving those cars around.
And Ricky started 35th. And we know Ricky Stenhouse wants to get track position. And so he's not worried. That's not his priority at the moment, is fuel mileage. His priority is to get the track position that he didn't have in qualifying. And so he's willing to run wide open because he thinks long-term he's going to be better off running here versus running mid-pack.
Doing some side drafting, bringing that second line a little bit closer to the front. A couple bread companies fighting for the lead here at Talladega with Wonder Bread and Ryan Preece out in front right now, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with the Artisano Bakery bread.
We're starting to see the pushers get a little more aggressive as they've gotten double file. You wonder when that first push is going to be done incorrectly. That's what makes you nervous. Just in there, you'd be running 10th, minding your own business. Next thing you know, somebody lands up on top of you just because somebody gave the wrong push.
Two distinct lines right now as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. goes to take the lead here at Talladega. Jesse L. Martin returns to NBC. He has solving crime down to a science. The Irrational premieres Monday on NBC and streaming on Peacock. 34 laps complete, 26 to go in stage one. Drivers, bring us to the green flag pit stops.
That's two cars back there in that second row that are very good at pushing, Jeff. Eric Jones in that 43 and the 22 as well. Joe Logano not afraid to push in the transitions all the way down the back straightaway. That's kind of got things mellowed out at the front of the field. No other challengers really coming up on that third outside line. Always no surprise to see Ricky Stenhouse controlling the field as well. He wants to get down to that bottom groove, but Eric Jones is not clear, not able to go with him.
You said it, great pushers in that second line.
Give me the boost first. He's coming quicker.
You can hear that information coming to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. about what line to block, and you can see how aggressive he is. As soon as Ricky got to the front, the lane blocking got way more aggressive. He's pulled in front of the faster lane multiple times. One time I thought he was going to go around under commercial and they cut him some slack, but Ricky is not. That's his style. He's going to be aggressive. He's comfortable doing things other people aren't comfortable with, and that's why he's had success at these racetracks.
They come here thinking this is their opportunity to win races. And in my opinion, he's given us the best example on how to win them. You go up, where does trouble start? You talked about it. It starts near the front of the field, but it's not the leader. So be the leader all day long. Work to be the leader. Work to lead every lap. It's not realistic to lead every single lap, but if you're working to do that, you're always putting yourself sort of right in front of potential danger, Marty.
Junior drivers jockeying to get to pit road for the first stop of the day at Talladega. So, Steve, let's talk about that. All the meetings that happened. The Ford camp, for example, like Paul Wolf is in. They had a conference call earlier this week, an in-person meeting today, and they kind of set a range of when they would like to stop. And then it all happens over instant message. The crew chiefs go back and forth saying, hey, I think this lap, I think 4 laps longer. How does that process happen, Steve?
Frustrating is how it happens, because much like the driver who's dependent on other drivers and need help, as a crew chief, you want to call your own race. The last thing I want to do is try to get 7 of my buddies on the same plan as me. It's about impossible to figure out at times. And then even if you can figure out what lap you should come, 2 tires, 4 tires, are we filling it up with gas? Are we taking gas only? We only need about, probably 6 seconds worth of gas to get to the end of the stage, or are we filling the car? So many different agendas. That's what makes it so difficult to get organized.
Got something on the inside of one of those cars on the inside lane. It was flapping.
Yes, decal. Something on the 3 car, Austin Dillon. Sorry, Jeff. A wrap or decal kind of coming loose on the left front.
Steve, you made a great analogy maybe a year ago, a couple years ago. It's like booking a reservation. For 4, way easier than if you're trying to book a reservation for 8 or 16.
Yeah, I'm the social director of this booth up here. Now I don't ask y'all's opinion because it's too hard to try to get 4 people to all agree, 5 or 6 people to all agree. That's what happens here. Someone has to take the lead. So, but who is it? How can Paul Wolf think he's more important than the crew chief of the 12 or another Ford? I mean, that's what is so difficult here. You wonder, and I don't know the answer to this, do they weigh the playoff cars more importantly? What are they going to do? As we see hands out the window down the backstretch, we're going to see a wave of pit stops right here. I see Fords for sure coming. Ty Dillon leads the inside lane. We'll see who makes the first wave to pit road. I know some Fords. There you go. They peel off. It looks like about 8, maybe 10 cars. Pretty clean to pit road. No tire lockup. Let's see what everybody decides. Are we going to say probably gas only and a very short stop would be my guess? Dave.
See, I've been monitoring the 12 of Ryan Blaney, and that is the case. Also the same for the 6 of Brad Keselowski. Just fuel and then get back together and get back in that drafting line.
And Dave, what's been unique with this new car, as you see all these Fords coming to pit road, it's been better actually in smaller groups. Joey Logano going to go fuel only just like his teammate, but Chase Briscoe going with tires back there. So a handful of Fords coming here at lap 40.
All right, so first wave off, getting organized as quick as they can, side by side. Does not help the speed. Top of the screen, the lead pack off turn 4. We're going to see another wave of pit stops, I assume, this time. Yep, there you go. So now we have a bigger group, maybe 2 or 3 more cars. Looks like 10, 12, a little bit more chaotic, but once again, no lockups. 3 wide on pit road, Dave.
And the most relaxed man at Talladega, that'd be William Byron, who won last week and put himself into the next round of the playoffs. He'll take fuel only here, Kim.
And for Kyle Larson, Chief Cliff Daniels telling me he's good, doing what he needs to do here to make pace. Like you see, fuel only for Kyle Larson, Marty.
Ross Chastain kind of in the back of this pack for quite a while, but got up front towards this pit stop. Fuel only for him. The pack thunders around the track while the second wave of stops happens.
So as we see one group leaving pit road, this is the group that is yet to pit right here. We're going to see them come off from turn 4. We'll see how well they get on and off pit road. Very organized, single file mostly. So we're going to see guys turn left. Ty Dillon almost by himself, it looks like. Small pack. Only 4 cars this time around.
Christopher Bell continues to lead the group around the track, and he'll start catching up to the other pack, Kim.
You see Ty Dillon right there. A reminder to him, do not speed during these green flag stops. They'll take fuel only.
As you see right here, top of the screen, those are your leaders. Christopher Bell yet to come to pit road on the top right, up in this area right here. That's a good way of kind of keeping track of what you have, right? So you see the 77 leaving pit road. The 2 of Austin Cindric, he's right here with the 47, the 24, the 8. These cars have all pitted already. And now the 20 car who's exiting turn 4 you see on your map, they're going to come to pit road now in a very organized single file line.
And again, another group of about 9 or 10 that are making their way onto pit road. This is the final group that makes their way onto pit road, Kim.
Including Denny Hamlin. He said no handling issues, but maybe a little darty with the steering, as you see Hamlin getting fuel only on this end of pit road, Marty.
You know, Kim, it used to be that you wanted a huge pack to pit all together. The more cars, the better. But the Toyota teams always were disadvantaged by that. Maybe now with this new car, this can play to their favor. Fuel only for all the Toyota teams. Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., and Bubba Wallace among them. But the pack is going to catch him quick.
But this is all about time on and off pit road and getting organized. You see the Toyotas that have run extra. They're very efficient, but it is going to take a lot more time to get up to speed. They will absolutely cycle to the back of this pack. We'll go back and look at the data, but I bet it was the couple extra laps they ran with less cars. They just didn't run the overall lap time, and you're going to see how much it's going to hurt. Now, they're going to be okay. They're going to pick up the draft of the big pack. There you go, Rick. As simple as that. 3 cycles, don't mess it up. On and off pit road, gas only, don't speed.
And after all that happens, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who was leading before the green flag pit stops cycled through, is still out front and leading here at Talladega.
And the 43 car of Eric Jones, he was penalized, men over the wall too soon, so he had to pit again under green.
Unfortunate on his 250th start. Eric Jones with that penalty. Stenhouse Jr. and Cindric now fighting for the lead here at Talladega. watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Yellawood 500 from Talladega. We'll get ready to turn heads in the 2024 Ford Mustang GT Premium Fastback with Performance Package. Scan the QR code now or visit NASCAR.com/Ford Playoffs promo to enter for your chance to win. Just 14 laps to go in stage 1, and Austin Cindric and the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Those two leading their lines, as well as the 99 of Daniel Suarez trying to make that third line work.
See that 8 car pushing the 47. And we see that 47 moving around a lot. It's surprising me and Burton here that they hadn't had an accident already. Kyle Busch pretty aggressive into the back bumper of Stenhouse. Stenhouse doesn't look very comfortable getting those pushes. Down the back straightaway.
Yep, boost coming.
Here it comes. All the way down the back straightaway, just ever so slightly, kind of pushing off into the corner. You got to turn him loose here. You spin the car out, continuing that push into the corner.
And it's really important for Kyle Busch to be pushing because, you know, we're only 13 laps at the end of this stage. We know the problems he had last week. Early race issues, fell out of that race, and now he needs points. And he's got an opportunity here today to get some.
So what's interesting is how this all works. You guys have described it, how the car in front actually stays back to the car that is pushing. The radio straight to Kyle Busch moments ago. The 47 will stay glued to you. So as much as Kyle is pushing, Ricky wants that push and is hanging back to get it.
You got to time that out. You see the 8 car sort of set off, stay off of the 47 through the turn, but you want to be coming back to that back bumper as soon as you get through the transition off the exit of 2. But right here, he would love to match it up perfectly to where he's right back in the back bumper of the 47 off turn 4 to continue that push down the straightaway. You always want to be shoving down the straightaway. He did a really good job on the back straightaway because he got that 47 into the lead at the inside line. Now, can Kyle Busch bring that 8 car up to the outside? He will not. He'll get defended here by the 47.
Big push into the back of the 2 car. Also trying to get Austin Cindric moving forward. Got the telemetry back on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Just wide open in the gas. You see the push coming from behind.
Big shoves, getting really aggressive. 47 car moving around a lot, so is the 2.
It's 10 to go, buddy.
They are catching a lap car in front of them, the 43 car of Eric Jones. Almost a lap down. They'll be running up on that car shortly. Could affect this lead pack a little bit. Here comes the 8. He's going to get another shove. If he can get clear of the 2, don't look like he's going to go do it. Here comes that inside line.
That showed me by not blocking the 2 that he likes the push he's getting from the 8 car.
Get down there in front. There he goes. That was a little bit late, but aggressive, but then right back and necessary. Yes, he stops the run that inside line has. They have to get out of the gas really quickly.
And if you're back here in the 10th row in this group, you need to know that that 43 car is on the bottom. Lap car on the bottom. Take the middle lane. You can't see him until you get to him. You need that information from your spotter.
3's gone. Still down there to 2.
Still out front, it is Austin Cindric. He's been up front for 6 laps. Logano's led the most. official app of NASCAR Tracks has the latest race and event information from your favorite track. Search NASCAR Tracks in the App Store to download for free, and you can start using today. Intensity now picking up as there are less than 6 laps to go in stage 1 here at Talladega. Up front still, it's Cindric, Blaney, Stenhouse Jr., Busch, Byron, Larson, Haley, Elliott, Harvick, all inside the top 10.
At the back of the field, the 11 of Hamlin, that green car we've seen him front, middle, and back. He's decided he can't get stage points, so he's not even going to engage. Here he is on board looking ahead. Look at that mess ahead of him. He wants no part of that.
And leading that third groove are the RFK cars. Now someone's jumped in front of them. Looks like McDowell, the Ford's trying to form that third groove and come up here late in the last few laps to be able to get a few stage points.
Cars are leading that top lane now.
Kim, what about the 11 of Hamlin?
Well, interesting, running 31st, and when Chris Gabehart talked to me this morning, he called stage points at a super speedway a luxury. That's how he described them, just because it takes so much work and there is so much risk up front trying to grab them. So those stage points, it looks like for Hamlin in this, again, luxury was the key word.
Important, though, for the 8th. Kyle Busch came in here after a disastrous first races around in Texas, going out early, and now looking to get some very valuable points as he runs up front.
I think it's equally as important for a guy like Brad Keselowski. Looking at him right now, below the cut line, he's averaging a 9th place finish at the road courses in the next gen car where we go to next week, the Roval. So very important they get that outside line going, or something that Brad can do to sort of get himself toward the front of the field to get a few points here. Now he's moved to the middle groove. His teammate is right with him, Chris Buescher, in that 17, following that 6 car through the middle of the pack.
We're going to see these pushes get even more aggressive. 3 to go in this stage. Blaney needs points. Busch needs points. Just look around. These guys are going to do whatever it takes. Now that they have this opportunity, they have to execute on it.
Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Busch started this race below the cut line. And we know that they're going to try to gain as many points as they can.
Keselowski to the third groove. He's got a good run here. Cars are trying to jump in front of him, though. He's going to kind of stall out his teammate. Buescher's lost a little momentum on the top here. They had the run. They went up there. Cars jumped in front of them, took their momentum away. Now Brad trying to get down in front of the 10 of Almirola. Brad's just way too far out front now. No help behind him.
See Larson sitting there on that inside line. Oh, Blaney almost got pushed around by William Byron.
Pit road is closed. 2 laps to go in the stage. Cindric and Stenhouse Jr. continue to fight for the lead up front here at Talladega.
4 cars right here in front of them. Going to go a lap down. They're really slow as this track runs up on them. Luckily going to the top of the racetrack, giving them plenty of room on the bottom.
And B.J. McLeod just all the way to the top of the track. Smart move. Now they're catching Carson Hosa for Marty.
Marty.
Rick, we saw Chase Briscoe up in the middle of all this earlier, but they did not get it full on the first stop of the day. He had to pit just a moment ago, and they also are concerned with the 14 car. He might have a fuel pickup issue. He's in 34th.
Austin Cindric has Carlin. Here comes the 12. Ryan Blaney. And
inside.
Blaney needs the points.
Middle.
Austin Cindric falling back in the middle.
8 car Busch is in the wall.
Contact made. The one of Ross Chastain goes around. He tags the wall. There was contact made between the 8 and the 1. And Ryan Blaney, under caution, is going to win stage 1 here at Talladega.
Huge issue for Chastain. No stage points and a torn up race car. This could be the end of the day for him.
There's the end of the stage. Ryan Blaney gets the win in stage 1, which is 10 stage points. It was Chastain that got into the side of the 8. of Busch. Take a look at this. Busch up into the wall there as he was pushing the 47. Then Chastain gets into the side of him, and into the wall he goes. That contact with the 8 sends the 1 into the wall. The caution comes out just before the end of stage 1. Playoff drivers involved. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by Sonic. Sonic. Toyota. Let's go places. And by Chewy. Stop at Chewy for everyday great prices on pet essentials. Let's take another look and listen in to what happened with the 47 here in front of Kyle Busch.
Starts to stumble. You see the hand out the window. Look, we're hearing in on the radio that the 47 ran out of gas. So, I mean, he was only on pit road for 4.7 seconds. Gas only stopped. They must not have got enough in. That makes sense of why he's dropping back so far. The car's still running on idle around at slow speed, but at wide open throttle at full fuel demand, you need a lot of fuel pressure. 47 runs out and causes the first big wreck.
Ryan Blaney's on pit road, Steve, and he wants 4 fresh Goodyear tires and fuel. Also, William Byron wants that too. Byron wants to know where the energy is while it's going in his gas tank, as well as he wants that information, Kim.
No major complaints from teammates Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott on the bottom of your screen. Cliff Daniels telling Kyle exactly what happened to the other playoff cars, giving him a bigger picture. 4 tires of Sunoco fuel for both of those teammates. Marty.
Kim, I can confirm what Steve just reported. Stenhouse came on after that incident in the 47 car and said the car did stumble on him, but he is out there right now. The other situation is Christopher Bell, playoff driver. They have pretty significant right front damage on the 20 car for Christopher Bell. They're trying to get that fixed up, but they are on the clock, the DVP clock for Christopher Bell and his race team to get those repairs done.
So another playoff driver caught up and damaged for Christopher Bell. Stage 1 is complete of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Yellawood 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. Today's race entitlement sponsor, Yellawood brand Pressure Treated Pine, introduces their Yellawood 500 promo car. This year's winning design was voted on by NASCAR fans everywhere and can be seen all around the track. And at the Yellawood Pit Road Club, it gets fans up close and personal to the action from the best view in the house right on pit road. That is one good looking car. Drivers, take us through this wreck again at the end of stage 1.
Well, you can see the end of stage 1 is coming, so everybody's getting aggressive. Chastain jumped to the outside line trying to get some stage points. 47 runs out of gas. Busch is pushing him, and then they just all run out of room. You know, you just don't anticipate the 47 slowing down at that rate. Just think about that happening.
Also think about the choice Chastain makes going down the back straightaway to not stay in the middle line. He saw an opportunity. He thought it was a great chance to maybe steal a few points or drive his way into that top 10. So he makes that decision mid straightaway, sees that outside line forming. He's going to jump up there thinking this is the right thing to do.
And then Christopher Bell, you see him right there. Chastain comes back across the racetrack. Big impact on that 20 car. They've been on pit road working on it. Riding along again, listen.
Hit your fuel switch if you need. H with you, boost. Yeah, H with you.
So Ricky put his hand out the window.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason he did that is he's like, man, I got a problem. Like, I can't, it's nothing I can do. He's just trying. It's almost like a brake light. You know, it's like hand out the window. Hey, man, you see I'm having a problem. There's no way I can get out of your way. Dave.
Ross Chastain's walked from the care center. What's the level of frustration? Because you were making an outside move that was going to be a positive, and then that all happened.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes, Dave. Nothing personal with it. I don't take any of this personal here. You know, could have stayed bottom a few laps earlier probably and been safer. Just kind of had a couple cars land in my lap there, and I went for the gap. I mean, obviously I wish I would have lifted now, but study that and be better next time.
You face the Roval next week. How's that going to go?
Lefts and rights, and living my dream. So whatever you know, whatever our team whatever we bring next week, we'll put our best foot forward. And yeah, as long as I'm getting to drive these rocket ships that Trackhouse brings me, living my dream, and we'll keep fighting.
Marty?
Dave, back to the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. situation. A lot happened very quickly. He unpacked it for crew chief Mike Kelly. He said he ran out of fuel. He went for the reserve switch, but Steve, when he flipped it, the car stumbled even more once that happened, and that's really what kind of started that whole wreck.
It's interesting, Rick. For sure, the 47 had some sort of fueling issue, and in the end, it stacked them all up.
10 stage points for Ryan Blaney. Larson also leading him, got 8 as stage 2 is now underway. Blaney up front with the 9 of Chase Elliott on the outside, a big fan favorite here at Talladega. Blaney getting a big push from William Byron in the 24, that throwback paint scheme.
We'll keep an eye on that 8 car and see how Kyle Busch performs after the slight contact with the outside wall. I hope or think he'll be okay. Missed opportunity for stage points for that team, but stage 2 is another chance to go up there and try to find those points they need to climb back into the points race.
300 Motorsports cars right in a row on that outside line with Elliott, Larson, and Bowman. We'll see if those 3 working together can get one of the cars out front.
Chase Elliott racing for the Owners Points Championship. Is the 9 car still involved in that? The 5 car and the 24 as well. Racing for the Drivers' Championship, looking really good currently as you look at the points on the bottom left. The 48, he's just out there to help anybody he can. Help any of these guys try to achieve what they want to achieve today.
And Junior, his agenda could also will be to get them to victory lane as well. You know, that's a goal of Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman. They've got streaks going where they have won races, you know, for quite a few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the 48's probably been given some instructions on some of the things he needs to pay attention to and when to help and when it's important for him to help his teammates. But certainly they can get that team to victory lane. It's been a tough year for Bowman and that 48 crew all year long. Bowman missed several races with a back injury. A win today would be a big deal, building momentum for them going into next year.
Marty, what about the 48?
Well, it's funny. I talked to Blake Harris about this exact situation today. The crew chief for Alex Bowman, who sits third in line on the outside. I said, how much of your job today is to push the 5 who's right in front of him right now, and how much of your job today is to take care of you? And Junior, he pointed out exactly what you mentioned. It's been a terrible year for our team. We want to win. We know what the company needs, and that's to get to Kyle Larson to the next round, but we want to win on the 48 team.
Kyle Larson getting those stage points early in round 1 sort of helped open up that opportunity for the 48 of Bowman, and that's something that you hope happens if you're Alex Bowman. This 5 car getting stage points in stage 1 and stage 2 does open up your opportunity to race at the end of this race.
2 distinct lines now as the field working their way down the backstretch here at Talladega. Blaney with William Byron behind him, and then the Penske teammate, the 22 of Joey Logano, third on that inside line.
Big side drive there by the 9 car. He moved onto the right rear quarter panel of the 12, then immediately turned right to get away from him, hoping to get a push from his teammate Larson. Gained a little bit of ground on the 12 car, but here comes the 12 fighting back. Talking about stage points, there's only 2 playoff guys that got stage points, Blaney and Larson, and both very valuable points to them after their issues last week.
Marty, what about another guy who needed stage points, Martin Truex Jr.?
Yeah, Rick, you got to go all the way back to find all the Toyotas, Martin Truex Jr. and several Toyotas in the back. So what does Truex think about the race so far for the Toyota camp? Listen in.
I don't know what's going on with our cars, but we're damn sure keep it going when we're together. Our cars are lined up in the 3rd lane. We go backward, no matter who's in front or what's going on so far.
So Jeff, if you have that knowledge and you're a driver like Martin Truex Jr., how do you change the game plan in the middle of the race here to find other people to work with?
Well, I think what I heard there is the 3rd lane. I think that they're okay. It's just they haven't been able to make the 3rd lane work, but I don't know that anyone has consistently been able to make the 3rd lane work. So I'm not questioning who I'm running with or even my car, but I am being cautious to be the team that jumps out and trying to make the 3rd lane turn into something that so far it hasn't.
Remember in the beginning of this race, I mean the beginning of stage 1, we saw that 3rd lane get all the way up there. They were 3 wide racing for the lead, and then for some reason that 3rd lane just fell off completely.
Yeah, if it loses momentum, it's hard for that 3rd lane to get going again. Big push from the 5 there, getting the 9 car of Elliott back out in front and back clear. Now they could come down the racetrack. Let's see if they do that. Yep, the 5 does that first. Larson goes down first and says, all right, I'm okay to go this bottom groove if you are, Chase. And so Chase takes him down there, and they're both now in that bottom lane. Let's pay attention to what the 12 team's talking about.
9, outside 48. 48, 2, 4, 10, 41. Outside, 1 back 24, then 1 off. Half and half out back, half in front. Half in front. Still half in front. All 2 by 2 here. Half in front, half out back.
Very limited information, not a ton of talking. And to y'all's point earlier, they talked about this. This is exactly the amount of information that Blaney wants and needs. A lot more chatter on some other radios, but some radios, very minimal chatter. There's not a lot happening right here. 2 by 2, there's not a 3rd lane coming. There's not a lot of movement or anything really aggressive happening around, so keep that information to a minimal for the 12. And plus, I think, too, with the new digital mirrors, the drivers actually can see a ton more than they could in previous years. So maybe that changes what the spotter's telling the driver and what the driver needs to hear.
And this part of the track right here, this is when the cars are coming directly at the spotter. So it's very difficult to give them perspective as to who is beside them and how far they are.
And so the 9 car and the 5 choosing the bottom, running that a few laps. This outside line's now drove up beside him and going by with their teammate, Alex Bowman, out in front. Now he dives in front. It's all Hendrick, 1, 2, 3 on that inside line with the 24 Byron back in the 5th position on the inside line, Dave.
And Junior, they want him to maybe go up. They said get up there if you can because they don't want to lose any more rows to that high side right now.
I think now they've all chose that bottom and they're just going to continue to let that top line go by. So now Cindric out there with the 4 car of Harvick, the 10, the 41, Stewart-Haas Racing pushing this Penske forward. I expect them to make ground and be able to take over the lead here over the Hendrick cars on the inside line.
Now it's manufacturers working together. Ford's on the outside, Chevy's on the inside. Bowman and Cindric up front. Sundays are for NASCAR and football, and Bud Light's making Sundays easier to enjoy by giving away NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Scan the QR code on your screen to enter. It's still a battle of Chevys, Fords up front as Chevrolets take up the top 3 spots on the inside line, then Ford's on the outside, and it's Cindric that's leading that outside line, Bowman on the inside line. Marty.
Rick, still cleaning up from what happened in that last accident. Christopher Bell, playoff driver, is outside the top 20. There's the repair on the right front of the front bumper for Christopher Bell. I talked to Adam Stevens, his crew chief, moments ago. He said, listen, in the draft, we should be fine, but I would really rather him not push cars until the end of the race, and only if he has to. So, Junior, how about taking that away from Christopher Bell's playbook for the rest of the race? How will that handicap him today?
Yeah, and I think the reason why he doesn't want him to push is because of that tape. If he's aggressive pushing now, it's going to smear, rip that tape apart, and what's left and remaining on the bumper is that goo, and that will grip the car in front of him and steer and possibly spin the car that he's trying to push with that repair on the front end. So you want to wait till the very end and only push when necessary. I think that he's okay. It's just he's going to be limited on what he can do and how aggressive he can be, but still be able to work his way through the field if he can do some smart things on the racetrack. It's just not going to have all the tools in the toolbox today.
Even after the pit road penalty, Eric Jones running up front here in that 43, having a good day. 3 distinct lines. We had mentioned that earlier the Toyotas were talking about not making that third line work for them, but it is working right now for the 43 of Eric Jones, the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on that outside.
Yeah, Eric Jones went a lap down and got it back, and now he's drove this car back up into the lead or toward the lead. Think about what this team's done in the last 5 weeks. This organization with the 43 and the 42 have had a tough year, not been strong. Up until about 5 weeks ago, whatever they've done, they flipped a switch. I talked to the crew chiefs on this team. They really don't know there's one specific thing they've done to get better. It's a lot of little things that have sort of improved this team at every racetrack. Last week in Texas, Eric Jones, many times during the race, the best car on the racetrack, had an opportunity to win, and now running well again today at Talladega.
Artisano on board there of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Let's take a look at the progressive telemetry for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Again, ran out of gas right at the end of stage 1.
See what he has to do now. He's behind that 43, wants to push him, but he also has to time those pushes. Can't go up there and hit him really hard. Watch what's going to happen right here. He's going to get momentum. Right, gets momentum, eases up to the 43. Can't quite get to him. There he goes, right there. See, he gets to come off the gas just a little bit. If he hadn't have done that, he would have hit him really hard, possibly spun him out. So you want to get there, but the timing of it and the speed at which you approach is really important.
One thing that's also happened is that outside line got up toward the front. They started fighting and side drafting a little bit with the middle line. That drug them both back. Now the outside line is fading a little bit. The inside line moving forward again. Trying to get back up and match that inside line. So when that third group gets to the top, everybody sort of starts side drafting off of each other, and that inside line prevailed.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, so we saw Ricky Stenhouse Jr. earlier, and Steve, I want to bring you in on this conversation. They ran out of fuel, then they went to the reserve switch, and they had a stumble there. So if you're Mike Kelly, the crew chief for Stenhouse, is that a concern for the rest of the race moving forward or not?
Well, for sure, if you can't figure out exactly what happened. We went back and looked at the in-car camera. He hit the switch about to start finish line and ran out of gas on the backstretch. That reserve, remember Chase Elliott tried to run too long back at Watkins Glen, couldn't do it. But one lap at Talladega should absolutely be no problem. So the issue is if the rest of the field has this warning sign and you don't, how quick can you be on this next pit stop? Because the whole field is going to pit again, and the majority are all going to take gas only. So can you be as aggressive as the next if you don't think you have that warning sign and that safety reserve? Something in the system seems to be amiss for Ricky Stenhouse.
Well, you can
got away with it once, right, Jeff?
Yeah, that's right. But you can see how that outside lane looked like they gained about 15 rows in one lap, and that was all because that inside and middle lane, they had to start lifting a little bit. They were getting into each other in the corners. They had to lift, kind of gather themselves up, and it just made these guys look like they're going 200 mile an hour faster. Just some of the runs that you get have nothing to do with what you did. You were in the right place at the right time, and the other guys had to start lifting, and that's why that outside line was not working for a while, and then all of a sudden it just worked in a lap because those guys had to start lifting off the throttles. And now here they are in the lead.
Now they're going to dive down to the bottom of the racetrack. Stenhouse is going to take Eric Jones down in front of the Hendrick cars.
How about Michael McDowell in that the 34 on the outside line now?
He's going to need some help to stay there, Rick. He's got his teammates behind him. But how many other cars do they need to be in that outside line? They got a few out there, almost in the wall.
'34 of Michael McDowell looking very strong up front here, Dave.
Yeah, 2 teammates there today. Todd Gilliland in the 38, the 36 is Riley Herbst. And you know they want to win if they can today. Travis Peterson, his crew chief, told me, if we can help a Ford that's still in the playoffs do the right things here, we will, but not to our detriment. We want to win if we can get it.
looking pretty strong. And I say that as far as the organization. Take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap. It's Todd Gilliland who turned the fastest lap, averaging 197.130 miles per hour on lap 47.
Like, what is he doing, dude? I can't get to him. Can you not see that?
Frustration in the voice there a little bit. Can't get to him. Now coming up on slower car here. That was the 38 of Gilliland. Eric Jones takes the 43 and moves that inside line just above the slower car.
And we're going to be a little four-wide action down the back straightaway for the field.
Just one inside. 2 rows back to the outside lane. 1 in front up here. 1 in front.
Eric Jones on the inside, Austin Cindric down the middle, and on that outside, Michael McDowell leading at Talladega. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by Coke Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? And by Yellawood brand pressure treated pine. If it doesn't have that yellow tag, you don't want it. From the Peacock pit box, let's bring in two-time Talladega winner Dale Jarrett. And DJ, why don't you join the drivers up here and call in a few laps from here at Talladega?
Yeah, sounds good. You know, it might look like these drivers are just kind of riding around out here and only got a couple of lines. Sometimes we get 3 wide and it's going to get really loud right here as they come by. This is really hard work inside trying to figure out exactly what your car can do and what it can't do. This is the learning process. If you listen to Dale Jr. earlier today, he talked about learning what your car will do, and you need all that information, Junior, whenever it comes time to really get serious about all of this stuff as we get to stage 3.
Yeah, you want to go out there and not only learn what your car is capable of doing, but you want to impress everybody else on the racetrack. So late in the race, when you do make a move, there's people that are confident to go with you. If they think, hey man, you're making a move at the end of the race and I don't think your car's going to pass anybody or your car's not going to go nowhere, no one's going to help you. But if they've seen you do this all day long and seen you make great moves, seen you drive toward the front, when you make that move with 2 to go, 1 to go, you're more likely to have a lot of friends. We're starting to see Front Row Motorsports basically at the front of the field, holding on to the top 3 positions. The Toyotas now from 2311 have made their way into the top 10. Reddick and Bubba on that outside line.
And how about Riley Herbst in his 36 car? He's really impressed all day. Saw him at the front of the pack early in the race. He's worked himself back up to the front again. Bubba Wallace pushing him.
We have to come down pit road for fuel, but right now, Reddick and Wallace, the only playoff drivers in the top 10. All the other playoff drivers outside the top 10, most of them outside the top 20.
Yeah, guys, you think that after that first round of pit stops under green flag conditions in stage 1, and we saw exactly what took place there, do you find that there might be more of an urgency in this stage 2 because the guys that seemed to wait, the Toyotas in particular, as they waited, they found themselves towards the back of the pack there?
Yeah, there's like the new element in this racing today, and that's the fuel. We saw how that was an issue for Stenhouse at the end of the race, or at the end of stage 1, creating the crash. Drivers having to worry about how much fuel they're saving. Are they saving enough? How little do they need to be on pit road for their pit stop to be able to get enough fuel to get to the end? How hard can they race the final few laps of that stage to be able to get to the finish line and still have enough fuel to do it? It's pretty compelling stuff. A lot of drivers, again, trying to sit in the backside of this field during the first half of this stage to save as much as they possibly can, hoping that pays off during the during the pit stop cycle. As you mentioned, the Toyotas didn't do that very well in the first stage. What will they change this stage in stage 2 to try to perform better? Now that outside line is all opened up for the Toyotas of Reddick and Bubba Wallace. And they got a great push down the back straightaway. A pretty good run here up to the outside of McDowell in second place.
See Riley Herbst in that car on the lead. He is content to stay on the bottom. Has Michael McDowell behind him. He's not an aggressive block from him. Bubba Wallace has not got to him yet.
All 3 cars on the inside line are Front Row Motorsports vehicles. 2311 teamed up on the outside here. And all during this second stage, we've seen this outside line or the second groove be the groove that keeps moving forward. Drivers keep using that second lane to take the lead, but then move into the inside lane. And then they fall back.
Yeah, and you know, you look at a young guy like Riley Herbst. We talked about what a great job he's done in the Xfinity Series. Had some problems as the regular season wound down. But this is a confidence booster. This is showing other owners out there that, hey, I'm worthy of being in this Cup Series. You put me in the right spot. This is one of the, it could be a major day looking ahead in Riley Herbst's career in getting the ride that he's looking for in the Cup Series.
Yeah, he ran his Cup debut at the Daytona 500. He finished 10th. So he's done a nice job on these races.
Since Riley's very young at this in the Cup Series, let's tune into their spotter driver conversation to see what they're talking about.
Right, tight to our bumper. Tight to our bumper. Now quarter gap to the 34, 45 still working the outside. Clear for now, clear for now. Half back to the 34. Clear by the half, still to the 34. Coming back to our bumper, quarter back. They're side by side still there behind us. Quarter gap to the 34. 45, a little bit of a run here now. Still quarter gap to the 34. Looking good here, whatever lane you want. 45, a little bit of a run, but not there yet. Still looking good here. Quarter back to the 34, now half back. They're still side by side behind you. Have a little bit of a push up top, trying to get to us. He's outside now, 34 to your bumper. Tight to the 34 here, 45 still barely there.
How good is that information from Brian Keselowski? That's Brad Keselowski's brother on top of the spotter stand for the 36 car Herps, giving him everything he needs about both rows. Should he want to pull up and block that outside, he's giving him perfect information so that the block doesn't come too aggressively and too late. I loved it. He's giving him everything that he needed to know, and not too little, not too much information. Perfect.
And I love the tempo of it.
Yeah.
Very calm. It was, hey, we're just out here every day racing. This is no big deal, Riley. Just do your thing, right? I think that's important for a young driver. That spotter being calm is a great thing, because for Riley Herbst, that's a huge moment for him, as DJ just said, to be leading a cup race. He doesn't need that added intensity. Keep him calm.
Side by side now out front, the 45 car. Bubba Wallace has been able to push his teammate Reddick up to the outside of that 36. A little bit of a gap though. Reddick's going to fall back to the nose of this 23. Good organization on the inside line as they push clear again. That's a great shot right there. The car's flying through the trioval.
That's the worst place too for the cars. They drive the worst in the trioval. They get very light. You don't want anybody pushing you through there.
Denny Hamlin jumping into that third groove on that outside line, trying to get some cars to join him. See if they can drive to the front. Ryan Preece is going to go up there and block it. Whoa, man. That was like he was not sure whether he wanted to make that move or not. Almost a little bit too late. Very aggressive, though.
Total up here with us. 11 cars total. 8.
Trying to get that outside line going with Ryan Preece up front, but it's Riley Herbst that is leading. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Yellawood 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. So we take a look at the Toyota driver updates. the veterans have shuffled out the rookie in Riley Herbst and pushed him back quite a bit, but that brings Denny Hamlin up to the front. Tyler Reddick's running 6th. Bubba Wallace is 8th. Ty Gibbs 30th, and Martin Truex Jr. is 31st, as now we see Michael McDowell once again surging ahead for the lead as he takes that inside line and tries to make something of it. But working together is the 8 of Kyle Busch and the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and they have
like to run middle.
There's the information you hear from Denny trying to convey a message.
He's way out front too. He's got to be able to defend as the rest of the field runs up on him.
This, I believe, is going to start the first wave. I've seen a couple of hands out the window. I look like Bubba Wallace had a hand out the window going into turn 1. I don't know if that was a thanks for letting me in line or I'm coming to pit road. We're right on board with Bubba again. 2 hands on the wheel now, so maybe it wasn't a sign to pit.
Denny's chose to go to the bottom. Got all that help from Kyle Busch to get up there. Now down in front of this 34 car, McDowell. Kyle Busch looking to the outside of Denny Hamlin.
They stay on track this time.
Yeah.
There was just a, hey, man, I guess. Hey, thanks, appreciate it.
Brad Keselowski's worked his way up into the top 5 as well. He's going to be tasked with trying to push Kyle Busch into the lead in that number 6 car. We haven't seen Brad all day long up front. We talked about just a couple of the playoff drivers in the top 15. Now we've got several that have worked their way into the top 6, top 7 positions.
Co-owner Michael Jordan on top of the box for 23-11. The 11, by the way, is leading the race on the inside right now.
Here comes a good push from Brad Keselowski. He's going to get that 8 car almost into the lead. Side by side with Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch, who was in the wall at the end of stage 1, now battling at the front of the pack. Here comes a bunch of cars down pit road here.
First wave of green flag stops here in stage 2, and a big lockup there by Bubba Wallace. Dave.
Rick, the word goes out to these drivers, don't slide your tires, because the idea is to not change any tires. Fuel only here for Tyler Reddick, Kim.
Denny Hamlin already completed his stop. Fuel only also for the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. Marty?
Bubba Wallace, fuel only. Booty Barker just told him 4 seconds is all we need here. Just 15 to go here in stage 2, Rick.
So we'll see a 4.1 second fuel stop for Bubba Wallace.
And you mentioned that left front tire slid on entry. We don't know if there's any damage to it. They didn't think it was bad enough to change tires. So now the Toyotas, who were the last to pit road the first time, are the first to pit road this time. We'll see. It looks like a next wave. Oh, Denny Hamlin, too fast entering. You see the penalty in the pylons. So the 11 of Denny Hamlin, a playoff driver, will have to make a pass through, as now we see the Fords on pit road, Dave.
You see the 6 of Brad Keselowski weaving his way over. He'll get fuel only. Wait for the call from the crew chief. He's got it.
And for Austin Cindric, he said he fired off good, but just a little bit free. They are done with their service on pit road, Marty.
Interesting for the RFK cars. They were back outside the top 20, Kim, but then stormed their way to the front at the very end of stage 2 right here. Buescher pits from the top 5 as the rest of the pack still on the track.
We saw this before, waves. It was 4 different waves that came the first time for green flag pit stops. Now, will this big group break up, or will they come together? It looks like they're going to all try to come together this time. Dave.
Yep, breaking up is hard to do when you were doing this at Talladega. The 8 of Kyle Busch will come in. Also fuel only the 24 of William Byron. He'll be on pit road for gas only.
2 speeding as well. Kim.
And for Kyle Larson, the same story. Fuel only, no issues with the handling on that Chevrolet. Marty?
And Kim, an interesting relationship has formed on the racetrack with Eric Jones and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. A little contact there between the 9 and the 5 leaving pit road. They wanted to pit together. They have worked together so well today. The 2 independent teams trying to keep it together. They just now pit. Here comes the pack, Rick.
And so overtaking is that 6 of Brad Keselowski. And there is the pass through by Denny Hamlin for too fast entering pit road just moments ago. Also mentioned the 2 of Austin Cindric with a speeding penalty. And now the pack trying to build back up again. Austin Dillon out in front. Kyle Busch The RCR cars have gotten nose to tail.
Third groove starting up as well. Looks like Bubba Wallace in the 23. Jumping in that top line. Big push from the 8 into the back of the 3 there. Teammates trying to get that inside line momentum built up. There you see Bubba Wallace getting a block there from Eric Jones in the 43.
Less than 12 laps to go in stage 2. And again, stage points paid at the end of this stage. Keselowski, one of the playoff drivers, as well as Blaney, already up inside the top 10. Busch as well.
See the 2-car hand out the window. He's got a pit for a serve a penalty.
So Cindric is going to peel off and come down pit road, but it's Brad Keselowski out in front at Talladega. Next weekend, 4 more get eliminated from the playoffs, both in Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. Xfinity Series on Saturday at 3 o'clock on NBC and streaming on Peacock. And Sunday, it's countdown to green for the Cup Series at 2 o'clock and Cup Series playoff. Again, elimination race from the Roval in Charlotte. As right now we have the 22 of Joey Logano out front, no longer teammates, but Brad Keselowski right behind him. Those two working together, as also Austin Dillon up here, Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, all inside the top 5.
This should be a nice little combination between ex-teammates, old friends. Logano and Keselowski, they know each other's tendencies, what each other likes. As far as being aggressive on pushing and shoving, can they control the front of this field to the end of this stage?
Joey Logano was running 29th. And the 12 car in that outside lane, he was running 27th before this pit cycle started. So that pit cycle worked well for the Fords. See Kyle Busch jump into the middle lane
Yeah, he tried to block the outside line. They'd already got to his right rear quarter panel. The inside line filled the gap. He had nowhere else to go, so he faded back through the middle, lost multiple spots here.
Bowman got in behind him in the 48. We'll see if that stops the slide backwards for the 8 of Kyle Busch. Kim.
And for his teammate Austin Dillon running in the 3rd position, remember 2 of his 4 Cup Series wins are on super speedways, and while he'd like a win here, right now does not want to be out on the point. He said, when I'm out front, I feel like a boat anchor. I just get bogged down, but I can push really well. So right now, I just want to be a pusher, Marty.
Terrific point by the guys of how Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney got that track position back. Well, Steve, that really started in the middle of stage 2. The Team Penske teammates made the call very early. We're going to go to the back. We're going to save as much fuel as we can. That, in turn, made that last stop much shorter than everybody else. That's why they got that track position.
Yeah, that's why they got it, but Blaney wasn't able to keep it. Look where he's found himself now. He was up in that front. He got an outside lane that did not work for him. He has fallen all the way back to 22nd. So just a lap and a half ago, he was in position to get stage points again, but they all got away from him.
And now that second groove, that second line is starting to take control. Byron there in the 24 is going to drop down. He's now leading the pack with help from the 10 of Eric Almirola. Right behind them is Larson, and then Kyle Busch, who has recovered somewhat to be able to get his car back into the top 10.
Denny Hamlin, after that speeding penalty, had to serve a pass through, and now you see it barely, a quarter of a straightaway ahead. I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to tag on the front of this field, is he, guys? I mean, they're going to be coming with such a head of steam.
I'm watching this outside line to see what Larson and Kyle Busch can do at the end of this stage. What can Brad Keselowski do as well? All those drivers looking to try to get stage points here.
So Hamlin moves to the outside as the freight train goes by on the inside. Will he get picked up by one of these lines? They're going to separate. Go by him. He's being scored a lap down now.
I'm going to tell you something, Denny Hamlin, that was an aggressive move by him, not just to go to the top of the racetrack and let everybody go around him. That was really aggressive to do that. Made them push him. He's trying to be the first car 1 lap down, racing Carson Hocevar. That's why he did that.
They busted up all of the momentum the middle and the top had. So now that inside line is all taking over the lead of the race. And now you see Kyle Busch trying to aggressively push Kyle Larson back toward the front of the field.
3 laps to go in stage 2. Out front, it's William Byron. Joey Logano, who's never won a stage here at Talladega, running second. Keselowski, Austin Dillon, Briscoe, Suarez, all lined up on that inside line, as well as Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, Larson, and Busch trying to make that outside line work.
Another lap car here in front of them, the 2. It's going to disrupt things a little bit, but if Larson and Kyle Busch can make some ground, which car in this inside line is going to jump in front of them and try to steal that momentum?
See Cindric falling back quickly as well. He also had the speeding issue.
He's going to force that middle groove to the top of the racetrack, similar to what Denny Hamlin did.
And Denny Hamlin, here he is. He's passing him. Denny is still the first car 1 lap down.
Little contact right there. But look at that outside line, the middle groove, the outside line, all losing several spots with the way the lap cars are forcing them to go around the top.
So they fan out as trying to get some type of
Christopher Bell goes to the inside. He bails out of this whole thing.
He didn't think he could get stage points.
We're not scoring points. We'll work on it at the stage at this.
Yeah, there you go. We can't get stage points. Just don't get in the wreck. Let's don't take a bad situation and make it worse.
One more time around here in stage 2. It's Byron up front, but now the aggression will start. Those stage points, very important. Keselowski, Reddick, Larson, Truex Jr., all right there in striking distance to get points here in stage 2.
Keselowski in 3rd. Reddick back in 7th.
Keselowski jumped to the outside, trying to get on the outside of William Byron.
Block both, back to the bottom.
He's going to clear. Nobody helping that 24 on the inside.
Will Keselowski be able to hold on and get the stage win?
Big run coming. Will the 3 stay committed?
Top your 3 top, 3 top, 3 top.
The 24 slows the 3 down, but here comes the push, the 14 and the 3.
Through the tri-oval and the race back to the finish line. Keselowski's going to get it. He'll win stage 2. Byron Logano, Dillon, Elliott, top 5. Suarez, Briscoe, Larson, Ty Dillon, and Tyler Reddick. So just a couple playoff drivers able to grab on to those stage points here, and a playoff point for Brad Keselowski winning stage 2. The fans, family, watching some great racing here at Talladega. RFK Racing is proud to support BuildSubmarines.com, where you can go to learn how to connect hardworking Americans with long-lasting careers, supporting and strengthening our military. The Navy's goal is to add 3 submarines to their fleet each year. Accomplishing the goal means thousands of career opportunities and suppliers over the coming years. Visit BuildSubmarines.com for more information. And interestingly enough, it looked as though Carson Hocevar was the first car a lap down, or at least scored a lap down, which means Denny Hamlin won't get the free pass at this caution. That's very big for that playoff driver. Dave.
William Byron finished second in that stage. He said, I got a little tight at the end, but I don't think I want any changes. Brad Keselowski said, I'll take 4. That'll be 4 tires for the driver of the 6. Kim.
And for Austin Dillon, lower left of your screen, said car drives pretty decent. Crew chief Keith Run said all that discipline you showed, that got us up there. Great job that caused 4 tires, no good fuel, Marty.
The reigning champ Joey Logano no longer in the playoffs, but a terrific stage 2, wound up finishing 3rd. He said it's much different up front. You need to free me up if I'm going to, or tighten me up if I'm going to be up there racing for the lead. The drag race off of pit road. Look at it, 3 wide with William Byron there, but Logano uses that #1 pit stall to his advantage, gains a couple of spots, and there's a fire, Rick,
yeah,
on pit road.
Yeah, gas can has come out onto pit road, and we're seeing the fire there. It got drug out into the middle of pit road, and a big fire as some of the crews are making their way out there to put that out. So this pit road stop has a few cars that come out, one of them being the 54 of Ty Dillon, bringing the gas can along with him. It ignites and lights pit road on fire. Tonight, Sunday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes and the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs visit the New York Jets. Coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock. You know, Kansas City, after starting with that opening loss, have swiftly won 2 straight.
I'm not even touching that, Rick.
You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Yellawood 500 from Talladega Superspeedway.
Now listen, I did have to get my Taylor Swift information from my daughter.
Okay.
So I felt like I was in the know. I'm prepping for Sunday Night Football.
I think the football world had to get as much Taylor Swift information as they could. Let's take a look at how Denny Hamlin got past at the end of this stage.
Yeah, Carson Hocevar just jumped on the outside. Blaney came with him. Remember, Blaney trying to get stage points. So it was a great option for Hocevar trying to make something happen with that outside lane, knowing Blaney would come with him. Blaney did not work himself up to get stage points, but however, it did get that 42 car in front of the 11 by only about a car length, but that was enough.
And again, that was the race for the free pass, and Hocevar got it, and Denny Hamlin didn't. That fire was Ty Gibbs, the 54 of Ty Gibbs, pulled the gas can out of his pit stall.
Yeah, so everyone was waiting on fuel, so you imagine that the gas can was still engaged with the car when Ty went to leave. Those can really get interlocked pretty easily if there was any sort of like lateral load on it. It drug the can down. Now the can itself is aluminum, so that didn't spark, but the dry brake, the actual coupler, it has some steel in it, so something obviously sparked to create this pretty massive fire. Scary situation.
Take a look at the points that were earned through the 2 stages already. William Byron with 18 doesn't need them, but those points, he took them away from other playoff drivers who probably did need them. Kyle Larson did need some playoff points, as well as Keselowski and Blaney. 12, 10, and 10 respectively between those playoff drivers.
Yeah, only 5 playoff drivers of the 12 have gotten stage points today. Reddick, the other playoff driver, not on this list. So just, I think, a missed opportunity for several drivers. They've, certainly tried and made the effort to get up there. Kyle Busch has been toward the front of the stages as they've wound down, but circumstances have kept them from attaining any stage points to try to push themselves further into the playoff battle.
And this whole fuel conversation is going to continue because we had about 15 cars top off. So with 64 laps to go, everyone in the entire field is going to have to make at least one more pit stop. Now the question is, will it be on the green? It's been a pretty clean race other than the one issue. We'll see if that can continue in this final stage.
Yeah, only 2 cautions today at Talladega. As you mentioned, coming up on 63 laps to go in the race. And this is the start of the final stage. Larson on the inside, Logano on the outside, making up row 1. Suarez behind Larson, and Keselowski behind Logano as they come through the tri-oval and back into the gas they go. Which line will work most efficiently as the 22 and 6 are getting that high line going, but they don't have any help behind them for 2 car lengths. Now the inside line with a little more consistency.
And if the back of the field looks weird, that's because it was a whole bunch of cars, Jeff, single file, because they all topped off at 1 to go, which is technically a closed pit road, so they couldn't pull up or choose. So now we'll see. I think they should be able to close back up, no problem, but we'll just have to see.
I don't think they all understood the rule. You have to start tail end of the longest line, but you're not, not everybody can be at the longest line. So, yeah, that was a really odd looking restart.
Now at full song is Logano surging ahead, and he has the lead. But he's going to allow the 5 of Larson to move to the inside. Did not block that inside line.
Well, we can see, we know what happens at Talladega and Daytona both. As the laps start winding down, it gets more aggressive, and I expect that to happen. Joey Logano no longer in the playoffs. He's going to be aggressive to try to win a race. A lot of different agendas out there, guys. You got Keselowski needing a good day, Larson needing a good day, Suarez, Chase Elliott, they want to win races.
Remember, Logano won at Atlanta, which now is a drafting track.
Look at this combination, though, up front, the 22 and the 6 Brad Keselowski. If they can stay together, man, they can really control the front of this field for the rest of this race, especially from that second groove. That second groove has been the only groove that's really been able to leapfrog and go forward and continue progress over that inside line. I wonder if, though, they get clear, if they just stay there, if they don't pull down in front of this 5 car and allow the other cars in that outside the groove to leapfrog them. See, they're both clear, but they stay in that second groove and they allow themselves to continue to fight on that outside.
If Suarez can get to the back bumper of that 5, you're going to see a big push. Suarez is going to be aggressive in this race.
Pack is tightened up now. 2 distinct lines, nose to tail from front to back.
You're cleared. Brad's not. Brad is not. Brad is not. Brad is not. Brad's the nose ahead, not cleared. 5 there, pushed out on the bottom. The 5 there, pushed out on the bottom, tighter on the top.
I wonder if that commitment from Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski is going to try to drag these guys to the top lane, or at least to the middle lane.
Yeah, I think from what we've seen today, if I'm the 22 and the 6, I just stay right here and keep on controlling this middle groove. I don't pull down in front of the 5 because I think the outside line is just going to go by me. So I'm going to stay in this second groove. I think that's the best way long-term to maintain track position. It's okay for that 5 car to drive up on my inside every so often. I know Brad back there is one of the best pushers, one of the most aggressive pushers, knows exactly how to get to the back bumper of this 22. He's going to keep us doing what we need to do on the outside here.
You have to always be on offense, though, right? You have to be ready to make a move. If something happens behind you, it will change the game. If they jump up 3 wide on the out, try to get on the outside of you. If something changes, you have to be able to make the move right then. Joey Logano and Kyle Larson, you think they're just watching out of their windshields? They're not. They're looking out of their rear mirrors. They're checking everything that's going on behind them. So when something changes, they can immediately respond to it. There's no brakes here.
Always on edge. There's now under 58 laps to go in the race. There will be another pit stop for fuel, and if anybody needs to change tires, they won't want to. It'll take a little bit too long for them. Marty.
Rick, I think a lot of people felt like it might be a more impressive day for Bubba Wallace so far, but 0 stage points. That really sits in the craw of this 23 team. In fact, Booty Barker said on the radio, what we're doing is not working. So part of that plan to change things up was to come in, top off with fuel. But Steve, check that out. You've had Rick Hendrick sit behind you on the pit box before, Steve. But have you ever had the greatest athlete maybe in the history of sports sitting behind you on the pit box? That's Michael Jordan. I would say Booty Barker's feeling a little pressure, not only to make sure they get to the round of 8, but the boss man right behind you.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you got to love the support. Michael is at more races than I ever dreamt we would see him at. I know he's a team owner, but he has a lot going on in his businesses and in his life, but he is at a ton of races. I don't know if it ever gets normal to turn around and see that figure kind of sitting back there overlooking what you're doing.
Bubba Wallace, what a start to these playoffs. Probably the longest shot as far as the playoff drivers who continues to move forward. Had a great last week where he finished in 3rd after leading the most laps, but Bubba Wallace needing points here at Talladega as well. outside line is beginning to get some momentum. The problem for Denny Hamlin is it's being led by the one car that's also a lap down, fighting for the free pass, which is Austin Cindric. So Denny Hamlin is pushing his competition for the free pass toward the front.
Yeah, several cars jumped up in that outside lane, and it looked like more and more were starting to buy into it. It's built up a little bit with a number of cars, and one or two get out of it. But that's what this group needs. They need more people committed to it.
I think it's a great time to get up there and run in that third groove because of how Logano and Keselowski have controlled the front of the field. It's relatively calm up in the top 10. Not a lot of movement, not a lot of things happening. So get up there and disrupt that.
Well, it was a great move for the two of Cindric because, as Rick just mentioned, he's racing the 11 for the first car lap down. And as long as you stay in front of him, even if you go to the back, that's the goal, is to be in front of that 11 car.
Jim, what about Kyle Larson in the 5 on the inside line?
Yeah, leading that inside line, and we typically see him be aggressive at super speedways, but it has never benefited him because he's only had one top 5 finish in all of his Cup super speedway races. So I asked crew chief Cliff Daniels, how do you play this? And he was adamant they are not going to do anything differently. They are going to be very aggressive. We've seen that. They've collected stage points in stage 1 and stage 2. And Marty, they typically get wrecked out late in this race. We're going to see how this final stage plays out for them, but Cliff said eventually the luck will change. The statistics have to go in our favor at some point.
Kim, what a terrific move by Denny Hamlin a moment ago to go to the middle, ditch Austin Cindric. And this high line that got the momentum going was really started by Bubba Wallace, who asked his spotter Freddie Kraft, can I move up? Booty Barker chimed in and said, if he wants to move up, do it now. Don't wait. So, Junior, why did Booty Barker want Bubba Wallace to try that high line and not wait till later?
Because the inside line and the middle line were kind of uniform, and they had a plan to really kind of slow down and organize the day, right? Keep things smooth and easy. But now we're watching that battle between the 2 and the 11. They both keep dropping in and out of line, trying to reclaim the position to be the free pass when the caution should come out. But now the 11, Denny Hamlin, is out of the middle groove to the outside line.
It's so interesting how this battle to be the first car lap down is shaking the whole field up. It's changing the energy of the lines as they both try to change lanes just to stay in front of each other.
And we're under 50 laps to go, brought to you by Yellawood and Ross Chastain, the one car out on lap 60. There's been 54 lead changes between 22 different drivers up front and only 2 cautions for 9 laps.
You see still this 22 and the 6 getting a big lead there, but staying in this middle groove, this middle line. That's changed the entire way the energy works in this front draft here. It's really not allowing that inside line to do much. They're kind of, you know, same players are leading that inside line. Not a lot of change inside the top 10. We'll have to see what this third groove with Denny Hamlin on the front of it can do. He's trying to do a lot of hard work as we ride on board the Coca-Cola can. Big run right here. A lot of stack up right there in that middle groove. He's going to gain a few spots right there.
Denny Hamlin, quarter, makes the move on the outside.
Big run here. Passed about probably 10, 12 cars just there on the back straightaway.
See, it's 3 wide from Larson, Kyle Busch, and out to that outside line of Denny Hamlin. But out front, let's ride along with the 22 of Joey Logano and listen in to Coleman Presley again.
You're clear to the bottom. 9, 6, and 8 are clear to the bottom. Brad's 3/4 ahead. Brad's 3/4 ahead. Brad's 3/4 ahead. 4 of you clear to the bottom. 4 of you clear to all the lanes right here. Middle lane's gone a little soft. You got 5 of you clear to the very bottom. 6, 9, 8, and then side by side behind that with lanes 2 and 3. Lane 3 still led by a lapper, Denny. 6, 9, 8, 45 clear to the bottom. 6, 9, 8 all clear. 6, 9, and 8.
Pretty incredible how that middle groove, the 22 and the 6, have sort of limited what that bottom can do. There's really not a lot of momentum with the 5 car Larson on that inside line. Hamlin, with the 23 of Bubba Wallace pushing him down the front straightaway, still trying to make some headway on this top groove. Bubba wants to time it just perfectly to where he can get right back to the back bumper of this 11 car off turn 2. Here he comes with the run. Can he get to the back bumper and start pushing again? Can't quite burst that bubble. There's a little beach ball between the two. It pushes Denny away. If he had a little more energy, he might have been able to get to that back bumper and push a little bit. Not able to do it on the back straightaway there, and they lose a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, it's 6 cars that have now broken away.
Now the 2, you see the 2 back in front of Denny in that middle groove there with Christopher Buescher pushing him.
We heard Denny on the radio earlier in the race make the comment back to Kyle Busch that he was better in the center line. And that's what looks to have the most momentum right now, is that center line.
So now the two's trying to figure out what to do here. Cindric's not sure exactly where to go. Buescher's now leading that top groove. Can he drag Denny Hamlin toward the front? Big push from the 11 into the 17. Look at this run they got going down the back straightaway. Wow.
A huge run for Chris Buescher and Denny Hamlin on the outside, but then how far will that momentum take them before
it's good?
They fall back.
Well, the 23 came with them. All the people that they need to help them sustain that run is right there with them, Rick. So now look here. They're set up again for another push, another opportunity. Can Denny push this 17 all the way out into the lead as we go off into turn 1? Awesome job right here.
So if Denny Hamlin would be in front of the field, he would unlap himself.
So now the 17, he might jump in front of this 22. We'll see what he does here. He's got a choice. Do I stay up with the 11 that got me here, or do I go with the 22 in the middle groove?
Here comes momentum again. A little wiggle there out of the 22 of Logano. It's Logano now out front. 41 laps to go at Talladega, and still out front it's Logano, but a lot of shifting. They were 3 wide, they were 4 wide. Denny Hamlin looked like he was going to lose all of the track position he had gained. Luckily fell back in line. Now he is 3rd back in that middle line behind Logano and Keselowski.
Yeah, look at that inside lane. It lost a lot of ground a little bit ago. Suarez trying to get back up there.
Brad Keselowski and Logano back to controlling this field, but now look at Denny to the top. Going to the top, he's got his teammate there. His driver, Bubba Wallace, now pushing him. Logano's a little uncertain. He's like, oh, where's my help? Here comes Denny going by on the outside.
And again, it's race leader Logano because Denny Hamlin is a lap down.
Yeah, Denny just trying to stay up front, trying to keep that track position to be able to get the free pass and the caution wave here. Less than 40 to go. Starting to get intense, and we're still seeing that middle groove and now that top groove be the preferred line. But look on this inside. Blaney with a big push on this 24. Byron. Here comes that inside line.
And that completely changes the momentum and the move and the energy of the middle and the outside lane. Now advantage inside. Which lane does it slow down the most? See the middle falling back some, the outside getting a run. What does Denny Hamlin do? He goes to the middle, back to the top.
We mentioned that anybody in the field could win, but we always notice the best come to the front. And we're seeing that again. Logano is up here. Bubba Wallace is up here. Denny Hamlin running up here, obviously a lap down, but up front. Keselowski is up front. Drivers that you consistently see up front at super speedways are back here again.
I think the challenge for these drivers today is which lane do I go to and win? It keeps changing. The bottom gets good, the middle gets good, the top gets good. You're going to have to know to be in which lane at the right time. Right there, the top looks great. Look at Denny Hamlin. Just rolling out front, but watch how it changes. Look at the bottom. Blaney into the back of the 24 car. Here comes Logano down to the side, do a little bit of side drafting.
That's going to slow down both the inside and the middle groove, continuing to allow that top groove to have the advantage. Denny now to the inside.
And the inside lane is clear. Byron's clear. Blaney's clear.
Somehow his team, Bubba Wallace gets to the outside of the 11 here. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but Denny Hamlin went to the middle of the racetrack. That sort of jumbled up this middle and outside line, allowing that inside to be clear by 2 cars.
And that's the trouble. It's just impossible to understand what lane to be in because the 24 and the 12 did a great job on the bottom, but they got a great break at the right time. The outside lanes both had issues. Now they got the lead. Now the top lane is moving. So I don't know if there is a lane you want to be in at the moment.
Well, it's working pretty good right now for that center lane with Denny Hamlin up front and Logano just behind him giving him the push. Here comes Keselowski in the 6.
I'll tell you what lane I want to be in, whichever one gets me closer to the front because I feel a wreck coming. I want to be in front of it when it happens. The intensity's picking up. Can't do this for 37 more laps without something happening. Look at the big push on the outside. Marty.
That's Chris Buescher and Bubba Wallace trying to get that outside. So, Steve, those are 2 of the cars, and they're in the top 5 right now. That topped off, even that extra 1 second of fuel, what does that buy them on this next stop? What's the advantage?
Well, that's been the whole difference between the Fords and the Toyotas. The Toyotas green flag pit stops as we see a big run by the 11 to the bumper of the 23. The Toyotas take about a second longer on pit road. That's how they lose their track position during the pit cycle. So cars that topped off should have the quickest green flag pit stops and hopefully either gain or keep track position if they already have it.
Again, inside that pit window now where you can make it to the end of this race. Under 36 laps to go.
So many cars still in the racetrack. 36 cars in the
Something on my left front fender broke. Coming apart.
Sounded like Bubba.
Yeah, it did.
No, that's a car. That's Kyle Busch.
Well, look at it. The fender literally is, I don't know, got a hole in it or it's peeling apart. It's hard to tell because the color of that A car on the bottom right screen. There you go.
Broken, probably from the damage in the wreck earlier.
Yeah, we had that contact with the 1 car at the end of stage 1, we saw a little bit of that tape coming loose during this stage 2, and now the body's starting to disintegrate somewhat under the pressure in this draft.
Kyle Busch being scored right now in 20th. On the inside line, quite a few back. William Byron is leading that inside line, and Bubba Wallace leading the middle line here at Talladega.
They're not done.
You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Yellawood 500 from Talladega, and now 4 wide as the 23, 17 side by side. The 11 is not going to leave the back bumper of the 23. And now as they're shifting, trying to find whichever line has momentum, here comes Buescher with Logano pushing him back, as well as Briscoe on the outside with the 14.
We're going to stay 4 wide here for multiple rows. They try to sort this out.
Does 4 wide at Talladega work?
Oh, Bubba Wallace lost a lot of momentum right there. Denny Hamlin's trying to get that 23 through this.
Inside line pulling him. It's Byron, Blaney, Bowman, and Larson. But now a little more momentum with that second line. It's Eric Almirola, as we saw, that Priest, Buescher, and still 4 wide back here.
The 14 to get in front of me.
That's the 14. That's the 41 and the 14 trying to work together, but it's not going to work out. Just remember the 22, Brad Keselowski and Logano were controlling this. Now they're all shuffled back toward the back of the pack. New players up front.
That time it was Almirola who was leading at the line.
More urgency now for people that have lost these spots to find their way back to the front with less than 30 to go.
And remember, they still got to come to pit road. Marty.
And Rick, to that point, about 5 laps from stops here or under that. So, Junior, it's been insane. 4 wide racing. How do you calm it down now? Take a deep breath and get everybody to the bottom and on pit road.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to tell your driver how many more laps there's going to be. If you can find that opportunity to get into that bottom line, if it needs to happen quickly, you got to figure out a way to get down there, find a friend or a teammate. Start using some hand signals. Spotters are working up on top of the spotter stand with each other, begging for opportunities to work together to get into that bottom groove to be able to come to pit road.
There's been a lot of effort to pit Fords with Fords, Chevys with Chevys, Toyotas with Toyotas. I would say at this point, I just need to pick my car. Whichever group is going to get onto pit road and off quicker. That may mean that I am bailing on my manufacturer. I'm bailing on my teammates. I'm going to pit when I need to pit. Now, that also can get you in trouble. They don't like it when you do something different when you've promised to pit together. But at this point in the race, it's about getting track position however you can.
We saw the 10 of Eric Almirola get the lead and then pull into that inside line. That probably is in an effort to be able to get down to the bottom, be able to come to pit road. Now he's going to let this 4 car in front of him. He's lifting a little bit, allowing Kevin Harvick to be able to get clear. As soon as he's clear, the 4 is going to go to the inside.
Oh, we got wreck in the back.
Got a big crash.
They're sliding behind as it went across the start-finish line. The caution has come out. Keselowski's involved in it. You see him hit the inside wall. Big damage, it looks like, to Austin Dillon. In the 3, Brad Keselowski, playoff driver. There's the 3 of Dillon. Keselowski now below the cut line. Ty Gibbs also involved in the 54.
And big damage on the nose of that car as he climbs out the 42.
Carson Hocevar.
Yep. All these cars, a lot of nose damage.
I'm flat. I can't drive it.
The MR safety crew out attending to all of these drivers. We saw Ty Gibbs walking there outside of the car. Here's Austin Dillon climbing out of the 3. Again, while it was crazy up front.
I was wondering if Brad could get that car moving, but he's got a lot of flat tires. Looks like a bent toe link on that left rear.
Yeah, the whole back end is busted off as far as the body work. Let's take a look at what happens. Carson Hocevar on the outside line.
Getting a push from Brad Keselowski here through the tri-oval. And it just turns that 42 sideways. Oh, man, massive, massive impact for the outside wall, the 54 and the 3. The 3 somewhat lessened a little bit of that blow when he collects the 6 as well, but hard hit for the 54.
Right along with Busher.
Still top 3, check, left, if you can, left, come down, straight, just brake, push him straight forward, all right, you're clear straight forward. They're still wrecking up.
You know, we talk about pushing and how important it is, but Brad Keselowski has caused a lot of wrecks on these races with this car by pushing. He has been very aggressive, and once again, just pushing a little too hard at the wrong time. Car got in the air there briefly. Not good to see. A good thing it did come back down, but that is a difficult place to push someone. In the tri-oval, the car that you're pushing is very light. It's not planted in the ground. Look at that. Good thing those flaps got up in there and got the car back down.
It's like when the right front tire on that car blew or something, it allowed the pressure coming out of that tire and the wind coming underneath the rockers all to collectively lift the car off the ground. It's a very lucky situation for Brad.
See the cars that were involved: Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, a playoff driver, Chase Briscoe, AJ Allmendinger also involved in this. Carson Hocevar in the 42. Third caution of the day has come out at Talladega. We'll re-rack and have a restart when we come back. Pace car has caught the field, and the field now behind. Kevin Harvick is scored as the race leader, but they're going to come to a stop. We're being told that there will be a red flag situation here as they'll work on the wall right there in the tri-oval. And Junior, you mentioned it, very big hit from not only the three, but another car was involved there when they came across that tri-oval. And you see the tire marks going up. Take another look at what happens.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've ever seen that before, where it's kind of the ultimate test for this safer barrier, where two cars hit it at the same angle, almost with the same,
intensity.
Intensity of the impact. It's about worst case scenario as far as how the safer barrier is going to perform.
Yeah, so the 3 and the 54 hit almost in the same spot of that safer barrier.
Yeah, and the 3 car, almost watch as the 3 car goes up the racetrack. Car just turns to the right, and there he gets into the back of Keselowski. That actually lessened the blow. It actually, hitting that 6 car made it a little bit less of an impact, right along with Brad
Buscher here.
I'm sorry, it's Buscher, yep.
Buscher into the side of the 21 of Harrison Burton.
And so what they do is they come out, and every time there's an impact on this safer barrier, the part that the officials are leaning against, that is steel. It is steel tubing all welded together. And then behind it is foam blocks that sit in between the old concrete wall and the steel tubing. And those foam blocks are what cave in and absorb the energy. What they have to do is inspect the walls and see if there's any damage to those foam blocks or any damage to the steel tubing. And if it is, then repairs have to be made or the blocks have to be replaced. In this case, they're having to do something that's going to take a little bit of time other than just sliding the foam blocks in and out.
So while they're taking a look at the wall, want to bring in the Peacock pit box and Dale Jarrett. DJ, it seems as though Brad Keselowski, being a veteran and very good at racing like this, maybe should have known better coming into the tri-oval and pushing Hocevar like he did?
Well, it's not that Brad doesn't know better. The thing is these laps are winding down, and Brad knew that he needed to get closer to the front, especially before the pit cycle started. So he was just trying to make some work there and move forward. Yes, not the best place. You know, Dale Jr. and Burton, you both know that we've all been in this type situation, and you know, I am thankful for that safer barrier, as you talked about, the impact here. You know, it takes me back a lot of years, and it happened to, I believe it was a Burton and an Earnhardt too. It was Ward Burton and Dale Sr. Right here, and I believe it broke Dale Sr.'s sternum that time in a crash right here that was very similar to this. So, you know, a lot of action happens there. It's not somewhere that you want to be pushing, but Brad knew that he really needed to be moving forward as much as he possibly could. I've been watching the intensity ramp up. These cars dancing around through the tri-oval. You knew something was going to happen. Very unfortunate for Brad and the rest involved.
So the AMR safety crew and the Talladega officials are taking a look at the safer barrier. They're going to make sure that it is safe for the drivers to continue. We're under a red flag condition. Kevin Harvick is out front, but big impacts out of the 3 and the 54. .25 laps to go here at Talladega. Let's take a look back at how we got to this point.
Yeah, it starts with the 47 of Stenhouse. Has a fuel issue, slows down, and with the stack up, it catches the 1 of Chastain. He goes around and ends up out of the race.
Christopher Bell had some damage. He's playoff guy, been on pit road. Chastain out of the race after that impact.
Ryan Blaney's going to win the first stage in this 12 car, getting some valuable points. Denny Hamlin had an issue during the green flag stops, coming back to pit road after a penalty.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski won the stage, getting 10 points. Super important. He was involved in this last wreck.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin got a lap down right there. You see Carson Hosford getting by him. See the first car lap down.
Then the accident has us under a red flag currently. A lot of hard hits in the back half of the field. Brad Keselowski pushing Carson Hosford, gets him out of control. Chaos ensues.
And again, under a red flag condition, 25 laps to go. They're putting the 6 up on the rollback, and let's go to Dave.
Rick, thankfully the driver of the 6 walked from the care center. You okay? And then what were you trying to do when this all got started?
Yeah, I didn't hit that hard, Dave, so I'm fine. We just probably would have been okay. The toe link was broke, so I wasn't able to keep moving. And yeah, just unfortunate. We got kind of shuffled to the outside line here. The 42 pulled up in front of me. I go, all right, let's go. We're going to run back up to the front. And I just pushed him, and he kind of instantly spun out. So I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think his car probably wasn't driving that good. But it's frustrating. You know, we were able to win the second stage, and we were in good position there for a long time. And just kind of unraveled on us, and that's how it goes here sometimes.
Carson's pretty talented. Did it cross your mind that he hasn't done a lot of this? Maybe I should be a little careful with him?
Only one way to learn. You get out there and go, right? So, yeah, you just, this is part of the race, and you push, and I gave a pretty light push. I don't really think he did anything wrong. I just don't think his car was handled well enough.
All right, thanks, Brad.
So under a red flag condition, that gives us an opportunity, if the drivers are willing, to chat with them. And race leader Kevin Harvick said, okay, let's dial him up on the radio.
Let's see if we get him. Hey, Kevin, the guys in the NBC booth, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, you got a pretty good seat here under red. Leader with 25 to go. I know we still need to see some pit stops, but how's your final Talladega been going so far? It looks pretty good from up here.
Yeah, we've had a really good Busch Light Ford Mustang. Been to the front, been to the back. Eric was playing teammate right there, and we were getting ready to pit and let us down. But, you know, we pushed all the way from the back to the front. So we probably have a little more fuel burn than some of them, but we have way better track position than we would have if we'd have just stayed there riding around saving fuel. So it's been fun. Always, you know, we want to do everything we can these last races and really all year to try to do the best we can for the fans and the team, and here we are.
Well, let's talk about that. We've seen the saving fuel and the green flag pit stops of gas only. What we haven't heard a lot of is handling. How are the cars driving overall as the tires wear?
Well, my car just was really, really rough riding. Probably on the left rear stop a little bit too hard, and they made some adjustments, a couple stops to get that bump stop a little less load on it to make it ride a little bit better. So we got the ride a little bit better, and it's been a lot easier to drive and manage since that point.
All right, man. Well, good luck in these final 25. You mentioned it. I know the fans appreciate what you've been doing this year, and there's a whole grandstands full of them here that'll be cheering you on.
I appreciate it. We'll floor it.
I like that.
Kevin Harvick up front, and at the opposite end of the spectrum, Ty Gibbs, involved in this accident, just came out of the infield care center. Dave's there.
Yeah, Rick, let's check in with him now. When you got collected, that looked like a huge hit in the outside wall. They're repairing it now. What was it like for you?
Yeah, just, you know, got hit out of nowhere in the right rear. It was very unfortunate. I feel like we had a pretty good Monster Energy Toyota Camry, and we're making our way back up, and we're getting ready for the end there. Just really unfortunate.
What was the energy like in the pack there before you got collected?
You know, it's just really stale. You know, a lot of people getting good runs, but couldn't really go anywhere with the package we have. And then just got caught up in somebody else's mess. Very unfortunate.
Glad you're okay.
Good to hear from the drivers. I mean, those right rear hits, just such a huge angle there. Dave, looks like you caught up with another driver involved.
Well, it'd be Carson Hocevar, who got pushed into this, so to speak. What was that like from your perspective, and were you expecting Brad to do the aggressive pushing?
No. Yes and no. I mean, I don't fault Brad at all. I mean, I did in the truck race even. When you're on the top lane, you have to push, right? You got to start building momentum. You got to start, you know, creating forward energy. It's just a tough spot. I wasn't that good of a leader anyway, so I was trying to learn. I don't know. You know, I talked to Brad a little bit. I didn't know if I was backing up too much, trying to lock on. Just a tough spot. But I had a lot of fun. You know, Legacy Motor Club, Sunseeker, everybody that allows me to drive this car. You know, it's just good to get experience, and whether it's 20 laps short or not, I still had a lot of fun. It felt like I was a lot better of a pusher. When I was leading, I probably got to do my homework a little bit, but for the next time I get to drive a cup car in a super speedway, it's nice to have some laps and a little bit of confidence. And you know, I started 38th. I got to see a lot, and you know, felt like we were moving forward there a little bit, and just inching to get ourselves in a good spot there at the end. Just didn't work out this time.
All right, glad you're okay. Learned a lot today, it sounds like, even though it didn't end well, guys.
Yeah, it's a little bit of insight there. An interesting comment by Carson. What he said was, I wonder if I was backing up too much. And what he means by that, you know, to get the car behind you, to get hooked up to you, You drag the brake. Maybe you come off the throttle. You're not full throttle, so the guy can push you. He can get hooked up to you. And maybe he was dragging back a little bit too much. And when Brad got to him, Brad pushed him harder than he thought he was going to be pushing him based on what Carson just said. Dave.
Austin Dillon walked under his own power, got collected. What did you see?
I didn't see any of it. Just got right reared. But after watching the replay, Brad in infield care center said it was his fault. He was pushing the 42. But, I mean, I had gotten out of the middle lane to get away from the 42. He couldn't hold a straight line without anybody pushing him. So don't know why Brad was pushing him. It sucks because we were caught up in it. And we had a fast Bass Pro Shop Chevy.
Just frustration from Austin Dillon there, you hear. The red flag, 9 minutes, 57 seconds. The repairs to the wall have been completed, and now we're going to see cars coming to pit road.
Yeah, pit road is open, and this is, we've seen pit stops at the end of the stages, but those are for 4 tires, a full tank of gas. These are going to be much quicker. I think some cars might take some tires, but after hearing what Kevin Harvick had to say, it's all about track position. These are going to be gas-only stops. Going to have to be great communication between driver and crew chief here, Dave, to get the correct amount of fuel in.
William Byron in the 24 gives up 4th position. He was told he will get 2 fresh Goodyear tires on the right side and get the fuel in it, Kim.
For Eric Almirola, he's just been complaining about ride quality all race long. Very rough on that. He said, I'm a better pusher than I am a leader. It's just a fuel-only stop for Eric Almirola, Marty.
Kim, Bubba Wallace has a chance to win this race. Booty Barker told him, I am so proud of you. You show up every week. It was right side tires. They waited a little bit on fuel, but you saw it, and the guys called it. Kevin Harvick, fuel only here on pit road, but the 2 tires for Logano. He gains 10 spots there, Rick. How about that?
Yeah, Logano and the Joy, 10 spots each on pit road. Almirola's going to drop one. And how about Denny Hamlin getting the free pass? So he is back on the lead lap, and he'll be racing to the front. He will be fun to watch as he has been working with the 2311 bunch up to this point. And a busy weekend coming up next weekend. From the Roval, it is elimination time. That means at the end of each round, you eliminate 4 drivers. The Xfinity Series will be on Saturday on NBC starting at 3 o'clock. And will also be simulcast on Peacock on Sunday. Countdown to green at 2 and Cup Series an elimination race at 2:30.
And Rick, I know this is far from over with 22 laps to go, but we have seen some mind-blowing battles at the Roval when it comes to points. Remember the Larson year comes around with the right front torn off to advance by 1 point. We've seen ties in the points and people have to go back to tiebreakers. The Roval has never disappointed as a cut race in the playoffs.
So interesting pit road, Steve, as far as drivers working their way off. Very busy.
Yeah, very busy, and you see the timing very heads up right there by Bubba Wallace. He has a car to his right side and swerves. You know, we got on Ty Gibbs, or I got on Ty Gibbs for kind of running the middle of pit road. Bubba was kind of doing the same thing as Ty right there, but fortunately was very well aware the 47 was coming out and gave him some room, so no damage to either car. That's what ended Ty Gibbs's day a week ago. Kim?
And Eric Almirola out front looking for his first win of 2023. And Drew Blickenster, the crew chief, very aggressive on pit road. He got on the radio, told Eric, I was aggressive. You are right on your number, and that's going all out. Anything you can do for me in the next 20 laps to save a little is going to be good, Dave.
Two-time winner Ryan Blaney did not take any fresh tires. That means they did a short fill. He has to save fuel as well. He has to save fuel and be aggressive to try to win the race, Marty.
So Dave, how did Bubba Wallace go from 5th to 16th, losing 11 spots here on pit road? Well, Booty Barker told him on the radio just a moment ago, we led so much of that last run, we burned way more fuel than everybody else. But as of now, fuel is not a concern for anyone. You've shown you can lead, show them again.
Well, it's interesting messages that we're hearing from pit road, because we heard the you've got to be aggressive but save me some fuel out of a few teams. How is that even possible?
Well, so I think what Marty was saying there, where fuel's not a concern, that's assuming you got in as much as you had hoped, which we can't say with confidence everyone did. We saw everybody pit, but it's very easy to miscalculate, have a little bit too short of a stop. We have no idea how many overtimes we may or may not see. So yeah, a little bit of everything. Go fast, save some gas, and don't hit anything.
And we think the aggression is going to pick up with 20 laps to go.
Well, it's not dialing down. I can assure you of that. We were talking about it, Dale, in the break, right? Yeah. Danny Hamlin got the free pass, so now it is like this guy's been riding around just hoping to get this yellow. Now he has it, and I think this guy is going to be making some serious moves to get near the front.
The first 4 races of the playoffs have been won by playoff drivers. And right now, the top 3 are non-playoff drivers up front here at Talladega. 20 laps to go. Fans on their feet. It's a sprint to the finish.
Everybody.
Restart on that outside line as Almirola has cleared.
They did a good job, but here comes that inside line now, battling back.
Bowman with Blaney helping on the inside. And now where will the momentum come as you see a few stragglers out there in that third line?
Both lines pushing really hard through the trouble here.
Hamlin just came out of line. We saw him if he was going to try to make that third line work. A few other cars are going to jump out with him. Still door to door up front. Bowman and Almirola.
Blaney pushing that 48 really hard down the back straightaway. Bowman all over the racetrack trying to control that car being pushed so hard. He gets out into the front though. Now how does he slow down this outside line? He's going to try to move back and forth, try to get in front of whichever line has the most momentum.
Goes back to that inside line. That allows the 10 of Almirola to get the shove from Harvick.
Yeah, Harvick, this will be his last drafting style racetrack, and it takes a level of aggression to win these things. And here he is, toward the end of his career, willing to do whatever it takes to win this race. And he's going to have to do it if he is going to get the win. It is going to get aggressive.
How about Kyle Larson? He's another one of the drivers that hasn't won on this style of track.
Oh, man, something happened there. So the 4, I think, got uncomfortable, got pushed out, had to get control of his car. Larson allowed him to get back in line. They're going to reorganize here.
Yeah, they worked that out pretty well. I thought they was going to get 3 wide, but they found a way to get it sorted out. Kept this outside lane in order.
There's a commitment to each other there to get this thing back going again and try to work their way back toward the front.
Caution has come out. There's some debris on the backstretch that NASCAR has seen. They want to make sure to clear that. Another restart, as we heard on the radio right away. Save fuel, save fuel.
Yeah, I think it's on everyone's mind. It's been like that all day long, which is the development of these race strategies at these super speedways. And it really just comes down to how, I mean, fuel isn't really that slow going in, just they're looking for every 1/10 of a second. So they're really kind of trying to take advantage of everything, as we see the piece of debris kind of
it's getting bounced around down back there.
Maybe carbon fiber or some body paneling.
Yeah, Austin Cindric, we've seen he and Hamlin battling a lot of this race to be the first car lap down so they could get the free pass. Well, Hamlin got it. Now it's Cindric's turn. He's going to get it.
So that'll put Cindric back on the lead lap, which will then make the lead lap have 30 cars.
Well, and you see why everyone has been so aggressive with their pit calls to keep track position. We know Denny has a good car, but you know, when the field is so organized 2 by 2, he was forcing that 3rd lane, but just couldn't really make any ground. I mean, he's still 26th.
As we mentioned, everyone with the eyes on the next race. So how do you get through Talladega, get as many points as you can, but still put yourself in position to where you can advance? Well, it's the Roval, and it's coming up next week.
Dreaded for months, the cut race at the Roval.
You can't tell me this isn't the most challenging racetrack.
No, he's gonna miss it. He gets into the wall.
Cannot believe I just did that.
Sometimes real life teaches you good lessons.
Kevin Harvick hard, the right front of the caution comes out.
Just want to wish them a merry off season and a happy Christmas.
Chase Elliott's gonna do it again at the Roval.
There's another one. Hell yeah, this team never gives up.
Briscoe, he's done it. He's eliminated the reigning champion.
We're out.
Christopher Bell won his way into the round of 8.
We live on, boys.
What playoff moment will we experience next week as the elimination race is just in front of us? And again on NBC, make sure to join us for that. Bubba Wallace, will his playoff dreams continue after the Roval? Right now, Bubba Wallace being scored 16th. As they run, Bubba Wallace 1 point below the cut line. 63 lead changes already. That is the most that has happened here since October of 2011, when there were 72 lead changes.
Well, these late race cautions as a driver always made me nervous, because I know now that they're going to drop the green flag and I cannot lift. I cannot give a guy a break. I cannot let him do something I don't want him to do. I can't let him do it to me. And it means the aggression level is going to get picked up even more. And your heart rate starts rising because you know what you're going to have to do if you want to win this race. And it's why we see a flurry of cautions late. You get one with 13, 14 to go, and you are forced to do things that you really don't want to be doing.
A lot of memories happening at a racetrack built back in 1969. And now it's part of the playoffs. And what will a driver do to get to victory lane and maybe lock himself into the next round of the playoffs? We're going to find out. Less than 15 laps to go here at Talladega. Dale Jarrett's proud of all of his kids, but his son Zach has been a part of baseball for over 2 decades now, and DJ decided he'd get involved. The Diamondbacks let him do a little BP, as well as threw out the first pitch in the Giants-Diamondbacks game, and I'm telling you, that is an impressive young man out there on the mound.
You must be seeing a different video than what I saw. That was a guy that realized that I was out of my element at 66 years old, but it was a lot of fun. They offered me a contract, but I said I have a great job here with all the people at NBC, so just going to stay here. And looking forward to the end of this. Again, that was fun. Keep it up with my son, Zach, who's in the championship game back in North Carolina today. But this is going to be something else. I think as I looked at the rundown, I'm looking at Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher, who made their way in that third lane up on the top, getting hooked up again and maybe picking up Bubba Wallace as they make their way forward. So let's see if that happens.
It will be 13 laps to go.
How about Riley Herbst? What's Riley Herbst thinking right now? I mean, he's done a nice job. Great car, fast car. Dale, you said in the pre-race, hey, I'm trying to take every lap to teach everybody that I'm the guy to go with. I think Riley Herbst has made a lot of good decisions. And I think he has a car I wouldn't be afraid to push. I think it's going to have good speed and go to the front, Jeff.
Well, look at the guys that need to win or haven't won. Bowman, Herbst, you just mentioned Almirola, Harvick, Elliott. I mean, it is loaded up front with people that need wins.
I think the only problem with that Herbst's car is the yellow bumper stripes. Look at the stripes on that car. A lot of guys are going to see that. They're probably not going to want to help when he makes the move.
Yeah, only his 4th career Cup Series start. He started 6th in this race, and now he's up front. We'll see who goes with him and how well he pushes. 13 laps to go at Talladega. Green flag back in the air.
Green, 36.
That outside line not getting going here. Will Herbst use the right amount of aggression when he pushes this 12 car? It's taking them a long time to get going here. They're losing multiple spots. Finally, they got a little momentum, but they're really not moving anywhere down the back straightaway.
Four cars had cleared that 12 of Blaney. Now 5 cars are in front on that low line. Let's see if the momentum comes back to him.
Yeah, here it comes now. Outside's much more organized. Good momentum on the outside. They go up top to block it.
Harvick jumped up there. So now Blaney pushing Harvick. I like that combination better on this outside line. See Stenhouse in that 3rd groove trying to bring some of the Toyotas toward the front. That's something to keep an eye on as this inside line and middle line starting to argue with each other in side draft. It's going to create an opportunity for that top to make some moves. Blaney almost pushing Harvick clear into the lead. Bowman battling back.
Yeah, Hendrick Motorsports has been committed to this bottom line. As a matter of fact, they line up on the bottom. Bowman in front. He has Chase Elliott, he has Kyle Larson and William Byron all behind him.
3rd groove falling off. Everybody jumping out of that. Is Blaney pushing this 4 car still? They're totally clear, but going to commit to this middle groove.
Bottom groove coming back.
That's a good decision right now, I think, for these Fords in that 2nd groove to stay right there where they are and not jump down in that inside line just yet. It really kind of limits anything anyone in the field can do. They're sort of forced to stay in one of the 2 lines and have nowhere to go to take an advantage and move forward.
See these guys at the very back trying to make 3 wide work, but it won't work from way back there. You're going to have much more energy than that. Now they're back in line. You want to try to make something happen. You see Bubba in the very back trying to jump to the outside.
10 laps to go.
So if you're sitting in the middle of the pack in that 2nd groove, you're like, hey, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I can't start a 3rd groove. I want to jump up there. I get runs. I want to go up there and see what I can do, but how many will go with me? Will anyone go with me? If not, you're going to the back.
If it works back here, it's because there's problems in the bottom and the middle lane. They have to check up to give you a run. Now several other cars try the outside.
Will there be any takers that will go with them? Looks like one's just going to get shuffled out. That's Christopher Bell.
Look here, Bowman up to the top of the racetrack here. Opens it up for his teammate, Chase Elliott, who now comes to the inside. So Hendrick now controlling both lines.
The two non-playoff drivers for Hendrick are running 1 and 2, one on the inside line, one on the outside line.
That was a really interesting choice. So Bowman now takes over that middle groove. He's going to force the Fords to push him. Now back to the bottom of the racetrack. Back to the middle of the racetrack. Good work here by the 48.
He's going to try to spend the next 9 laps doing just that. Too big of a run right there from Chase. Sometimes the best move you make is one you don't. Had he tried to make that block, it would have been a big wreck down the back. Bowman wisely just could not get there in time.
Bowman just getting up the racetrack a little bit right there. Almost opened up the middle for the 4 car. He's going to have to protect this middle. Huge push from Harvick in the back of this 48.
Chase Elliott out in front, and the fans showing their pleasure.
There's Bowman back to the front. That's what I talked about. Had he tried to make that block and it didn't work, they would have just wrecked. Instead, he lived to fight another day, and he's back with the lead. Decision making is important in these races. The right block at the right time.
Leading that inside line. He's going to stay there this time as momentum builds on his outside as Harvick now in front of the field.
What does Harvick do? Does he try to block both lanes, or does he just stay in that outside lane? Choosing just to stay in the outside lane right now.
Down to 7. Harvick and Logano trying to clear that 48, but Blaney, but Blaney can't get clear, and so Harvick stays on that outside line with Blaney helping. Bowman on the inside with Chase Elliott behind him.
Who's the first car in that outside lane to jump to the top to try to bring 3 wide?
And when will they make that decision?
I think if you see him get checked up for some reason getting in the corner, that's a great opportunity to jump up there, but you got to know people are going with you. If you do it by yourself, you're going to the back.
Here comes the Blaney, Harvick. Train again. Big
run and Bowman's going to get shuffled out. Bowman in the middle gets shuffled out.
Yeah.
All right, now who's going to help Bowman? Now a third lane gets developed.
He's looking in that mirror, looking for some help, hoping it gets there soon. Corey LaJoie's finally going to get to the back bumper of the 48.
Oh, Riley Herbst just barely got down in front of him.
Teammates are all clear, all 3 clear.
Bowman goes to the outside line now. We'll see if he can fight back to the front.
That's how quickly 3 lanes get formed.
Chase Elliott out in front by 3 car lengths. Over that next line.
Not a lot of great organization on that middle groove. Herbst finally to the back bumper, the 12 to the back bumper, the 4.
We'll see if the momentum will build back up.
Outside line's got a little momentum as well. Bowman a little bit loose right there, getting pushed by the 10 of Almirola. You know you got a lot of good commitment on that inside line. All teammates, but Byron to the top of the racetrack around the 5.
Byron now leading that second line.
Really surprised to see him step out of line. The 3 teammates nose to tail. Now look at the 48 on the outside all over the racetrack.
Yeah, super aggressive pushes from Almirola.
Byron to the lead. Now Harvick to his outside.
Here comes the push from the 12 of Blaney. It will move the 4 in front. And they're coming up now on 4 laps to go.
See how much better the 4 can push right there through the tri-oval. Chase Elliott trying to push his teammate, just able to tap every once in a while on the back bumper of that 24, while Blaney can stay really committed and push aggressively on the back bumper of Harvick.
Harvick pulled back down in front of Byron. Now he's going to check the mirror, going to pull back up in front of Blaney.
Bowman still in front of the outside line. And look at where Denny Hamlin has found himself. Middle line, 5th car back.
Bowman working hard, trying to get that 3rd lane from working. They get going down the back straightaway, but when they get to the corners, it just backs them up. Oh, big push there from Hamlin.
Hamlin pushing LaJoie in the 7.
Great job by LaJoie to get himself up into the top 10 here late. Suarez still hanging around as well in that 99 on the inside line. Chandler Smith in the 13 car on that inside line as well behind Suarez.
See that 3rd lane every time down the back straightaway. The 10 pushes Bowman, but then it stalls out in the corner.
Big push that had come from Blaney has got Kevin Harvick way out in front now. And here comes that inside line. Byron.
Oh,
Harvick blocks it.
He does, and this allows the 12 of Blaney to get to his outside now. That changes things a little bit for Harvick.
Self with no help. Don't let him get in the middle here.
Under 2 laps to go.
But again, will Herbst be aggressive enough to be able to help this 12 get back toward the front of the field, back into the lead? Is he going to push Blaney hard enough down these straightaways to be able to clear this 12?
The 3rd line hasn't moved, but now gaining another car. We'll see if they can go. Side drafting happening up front. Blaney on the high side, Harvick on the inside. Through the tri-oval they go. 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank.
Oh, he almost spun the 12. Herbst into the back of Blaney.
That cleared Harvick. Harvick is clear of the 12. Now he's got to have to block both lanes.
The 12's going to have a little momentum here. I think Harvick can hop back in front of the 12. Big run coming. The 12 to the inside.
Shuffles the 4 out. Now Blaney and Harvick down the backstretch for the final time and into turn 3. Blaney with a push from the 24 of Byron. Here comes Harvick on the outside. Can the 36 get to the back bumper of the 4 and give him a big push? Momentum coming. They're side by side through the tri-oval. Blaney, Harvick, Blaney, Harvick. They spin behind him. It's going to be Blaney.
Yes!
Blaney gets the win at Talladega.
Good job, John.
Made the move on the backstretch he had to make. When Harvick went high, he dove to the inside. There was enough room down there to jump in front of Byron. Byron forced to give him the push that he needed through the tri-oval to give him just enough, literally almost a foot, to beat this 4 car across the finish line.
12 1,000ths of a second separating 1 and 2, Blaney and Harvick. Saw the 42 of Hocevar, or excuse me, the 36 of Riley Herbst sideways when he crossed the start-finish line.
Yeah, he gets a little help here from the 7. He gets up the racetrack and just gets a little clip in the left rear quarter panel.
Denny Hamlin ends up 4th after being a lap down and fighting his way back up toward the front. But it's Ryan Blaney who has secured a spot in the round of 8. This checkered flag moment brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. Playoff drivers continuing to dominate the playoffs. Now all 5 playoff races have been won by playoff drivers. And 5 different drivers have won those 5 races. A week ago, Ryan Blaney was celebrating the fact that he had 300 starts in the Cup Series, and now on 301, he gets to victory lane. And Marty's there as the celebration about to begin.
And he's going to climb out in front of these Talladega fans a week after, by his words, making a mistake on the last stop at Texas, took away a possible win, but today made all the right moves with spotter Josh Williams to barely get Kevin Harvick and advance himself to the round of 8. What a finish, and the Talladega fans love it. He said, round of 8, we're here. Gonna get the checkered flag as he always does, and he'll seek out a Ryan Blaney fan, pointing out the young man right now that he wants the flag to go to. Boy, Ryan, how did you regain that momentum after you lost it, and how were you able to get by Kevin Harvick and hold him off?
Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, pretty wild. Pretty wild last restart, but let alone last couple laps, you know, kind of losing momentum, getting it back. Just getting clear to the bottom to kind of get to the front row and drag race it out with Kevin. So really proud of the whole 12 group, man. Pennzoil, Menards, Body Armor, Dex Imaging, Advanced Auto Parts, Worth, Dent Wizard, everyone who makes this possible. It's so cool. To win 3 times here at Talladega, that's super cool. I have to give a big thanks to Riley Herbst. He did a really good job there. The last couple restarts, he hasn't had a lot of Cup starts, but he did a great job of pushing me. So thanks to him, and this is so cool. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. This is so special, and I can't wait to have fun tonight.
If you ever question if NASCAR is a game of inches, that was 12 1,000ths of a second. What do you see from behind the wheel when it's that close, Ryan? I won it by more than I have the last couple here, so that one might have been about 4 feet. The others were about 2, but yeah, you just don't know. I mean, you just kind of drag race the line. Hope you get help. William gave me a pretty good shove on the bottom. He's kind of forced to, but yeah, I wasn't sure, and until Josh said something. So Josh did a fantastic job on the roof like always, and this is such a special place to win at, so I cannot wait to go to victory lane. There you go, and maybe the better part of all of this, Rick, they do not have to worry about the Roval next week. Team Penske and Ryan Blaney, they've advanced to the round of 8.
2 drivers have done it. William Byron won a week ago, and now it's Ryan Blaney who will head to the Ruoff Mortgage victory lane that he said he loves so much here at Talladega. At the end, he thanked the 36 of Herbst for a great shove to the finish, and it was about a foot and a half that separated the 12 and the 4 at that start-finish line. Ryan Blaney wins again, his 3rd win at Talladega, and the most important here in these playoffs as he's into the round of 8. The NASCAR America Post-Race Show presented by Progressive. And again, our post-race coverage is now also available streaming on Peacock. And such a close finish between Ryan Blaney and Kevin Harvick in his final season, about a foot and a half short. And Kevin Harvick standing by with Dave.
He very nearly did it, Rick. 12 1,000ths of a second. Take us through those late moves, Kevin, trying to get the win.
Yeah, well, I just tried to block the lanes, and then I was kind of late blocking the 12 there, and he got to the outside of us. But it actually worked out okay because the 24 was a great pusher, and then it got shuffled again, and I had Riley behind me, and I knew I thought I was in a really good spot, headed down the back straightaway with everything that was happening, because I knew if I could get off the tri-oval with Riley right on my bumper, I was still going to be okay, and then he got spun in the middle of the tri-oval. So just got to thank everybody on our Busch Light 4. They did a great job, and right about there, I said, man, we're sailing. The spotter's yelling at me to side draft, and I'm like, we aren't going to need to side draft, and Riley got loose and spun out, and then I'm like, well, we're all alone here with 2 of them below me. But great day, great way to end at Talladega. Always want to win, is what it is.
Yeah, but could you have imagined if this was the walk-off win for you?
Yeah, they might have torn it down. That would have been great. Talladega's been so up and down through the years. We've had some great moments, some bad moments, and last super speedway race and went out with everything rolling, so that's a good thing.
Nearly had his second win here at the big track, guys.
Smiling, Kevin Harvick, and that's the way you want to see him leave each track when he comes to it for the final time. Again, Kevin Harvick will be in the broadcast booth in 2024 as he will be calling races after he retires from behind the wheel. Let's check in with Denny Hamlin. Kim caught up with him just moments ago.
Denny Hamlin had an average running position of 25th today. Come home, though, in the 4th position. Crew Chief Coach Gabehart said you almost gave him a heart attack. How hard was it to overcome everything today?
It was difficult, my own doing, but proud of the whole Mavis Brakes team to, Mavis Tires and Brakes is where you should go. Yeah, the Toyota was fast. Obviously, when I needed to push, I could get to the front, but obviously did not want to set us back there with that penalty. But when we got to go put the pedal to the metal, we go. And so proud of our effort there to get back to the top 5.
You head into the Charlotte Roval plus 50. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel pretty good. Thank you for asking.
A driver who's been feeling pretty good all day has been William Byron. Came in here sort of relaxed with the win last week, but are you frustrated that you couldn't get to the front there at the end?
Yeah, just a little frustrated that when I was getting pushed by the 4 and I got down, and then we just couldn't quite get linked as good, and those guys got another run, and both of them had the choice to go down, and one of them picked it in the 12. So they were able to kind of stagger both lanes, and they can just they can push so well and just receive those pushes. I was kind of squirrely at getting pushed, especially in the middle lane, so felt like my best bet was get to the bottom and hope that the yellow line was my friend there at the end. So thanks to the whole Exalta team. Exalta Chevy was really fast, top 2 in both stages and 3rd in the race. So we'll take that, but it sucks to not win because you feel like that's really the only objective of this week. So we'll learn from it, and great effort though. We'll take it.
And you'll sleep well this week too. Was that squirrely feeling anything different than what you'd had at Daytona or Talladega earlier this year?
I thought we had gotten that a little bit better recently, and then there was a little bit of a rules change, and I think the cars got a little more out of the track today. So just go to work on that. But yeah, I think we're close. It's just trying to push like those Fords and push like them. But we're definitely close.
Strong Talladega run for William Byron.
So William Byron comes home in 3rd, and Bubba Wallace congratulating Ryan Blaney on getting another win here at Talladega. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.